Good morning.
Wow, that's. If it pleases.
Yeah, we got that from the bank. They were giving them away when they were remodeling the one in Evergreen.
Really?
Yeah. So I was like, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really. Good.
Right, your house?
I have another pass. I said, hoping that. That would bring it.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, Jen.
Awesome. How are you?
Love to hear the house.
Hey. That's what you say, John. And this is for you.
No.
Oh, thanks.
Morning. How are you? Good, how you doing? Good morning. How you doing?
Okay, on the south end of town.
Pretty good. How about you?
You're good.
How's business going?
Busy.
Yeah, I bet.
Busy.
It's a good thing, already.
Yeah, kind of. Anyway, like yesterday was just. I had forgotten to make a note. That Cooper's had a buyout last night.
Yeah.
And we got freaking hammered on top of the fact that. Two people called out. And one person, before the end of the shift, they're like, I forgot to take my insulin this morning, so. So we were short 3 people. The people that were there that ended up being there were relatively new. And we literally did double the business of it, so
Oh, that's nuts.
it was a train wreck. We got like 2 1-star reviews.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, people are not very understanding.
No.
Everybody was obvious, that everybody was doing their absolute best, and people are still just assholes about it.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people just always are looking for something to come back about.
Absolutely. I kind of hate Google
Oh, yeah.
reviews, because there's no accountability there.
No.
Sure.
Good morning.
Hey, how are you? Well, that's. We did not have 1,300 guests yesterday, I'm sure that.
Is that a Google review?
No,
Oh.
it's already, when it's still, yeah, somebody must have put in, like, they had 300 or something.
Morning.
That's just not right.
I may have another pen, please.
Sure.
One doesn't seem to be working.
Okay. I think it's on a chair that I know. Okay. Can we still need to talk about it? Is that so long?
Anytime.
I should have grabbed it, right, like that.
Yeah, let's see.
You have time in minutes.
Paul's good with this late?
He said so.
Okay.
I saw him going over to the school, so.
Yeah, but then you could also.
I'm free until 4.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, hard time working my chair. Okay, so 4, I'm not working. I think.
Where
So-
is my, yeah.
I'm free until.
It's right here.
I don't need
You
it.
want it?
You get
Do you want or a big one?
I'm here.
Been on this tear about like map plan. But it's wrong for childcare. Non-grown.
Yeah,
Thing.
totally. I love that.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
There's your email though.
Good, I think, kind of did a jump off the higher object and I kind of felt wow. Yeah, on purpose, I kind of landed, like, nah. Favor the other knee, but it wobbled a little bit, it was like, it hurt.
It didn't hurt.
Jen, can you resend the link to Paul for some reason? Gotta be done.
So, PT boat 67,
You can do that and, also director at Georgetown Trust. I want it.
would that one be better? I can do it. Can he get In it from the link, the general link that's on the back of the agenda, does he have the agenda?
I don't.
Give it to you.
Jen's asking if you can get to it through the general link on the back of the agenda that she gave you.
It's just as a condition, yeah.
Okay, folks, let's go ahead and call the Georgetown Business Promotion Commission meeting to order. It's Wednesday, August 7th, 2024. 8:03 a.m. We're meeting at Town Hall located at 404 6th Street, Georgetown, Colorado. The Town of Georgetown Business Promotion Commission is an appointed board that enhances the economic climate in Georgetown, Colorado through marketing, events, and community outreach. The commission's goals are to support business license holders and nonprofit organizations to operate successfully and to create a positive experience for visitors. May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Kevin Colbert,
Present.
Vice Chair Greg Stevenson.
Sure.
Board of Selectmen Representative Mary Smith. Here. And then we have, Jessica Tibet here, Mike Hutton.
Here.
And then we see Gary Haynes coming up the stairs. Great.
Gary, say here.
Had to do bears this morning.
Sounds like my daily.
What's that?
Okay.
Sounds like my daily.
And we do know that Paul Vogt is trying to zoom in. Agenda approval. I have in addition, I'd like to add to the agenda, 6th Street one way. Oh, it's on there already? Cool, okay, thank you. Okay, anything else with the agenda before approval?
I'm going to approve the agenda for August 7th. Okay.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, go on to audience business. Members of the audience will have 5 minutes to present any matter of interest related to the business of the town that is not already on the agenda. Those attending virtually may use the chat feature. No official action may be taken at this time. Is there any audience business?
None online. So I don't see anybody here, so no.
Do we have any business owners or operators to welcome today?
Nope.
Okay, let's jump into it then, folks. New and unfinished business. First on the agenda, Ms. Jess Jones, Marketing and Events Manager. Take it away.
Not too much going on, not too much to report on. Mountain Jams is going wonderful and smooth. If you're ever down on 6th Street on Saturday, it's always a great time. 4th of July, can't even remember that long ago. It went very well. We had great feedback, steady pace of parade. We did have limited issues, but there was one skateboarding incident. Got near one of the horses, which caused it to rev up and almost kick a child, I'm told. One of our own staff was in the area and did report that that was most likely true. So, just want to tighten that up for next year, especially since we had 2 floats with horses this year. Always love to see it growing. Community barbecue went very lovely. They had more cells this year, but there were limited restrooms. That's just something for me to clean up for next year. And then we moved into our Strauss Park grand opening. We had Lynette be our MC. She kicked off our music and then walked over to the park. We got to thank Bob and Ryder and of course everyone in this room kind of who was there. And then the root beer floats were kind of a good key to that, you know, refreshing over the summer, very American. Triple bypass, ran with no incident. I didn't hear anything. They're usually a good group of organizers. You never know about the riders. And then, of course, we had our new event with the torch run and the Olympic Fortune Field Day. The torch run was run by our high school's cross country team. They ran from Minor Street all the way to 6th Street while hitting Plume and a bunch of other cities in between. Great turnout, those kids loved it, they had a blast, it was really, really hot, I don't know how they did it. For the actual field day, our downtown was busy, but we had limited participation in the games. There will be a review and feedback with CCNRD, because although there were lots of opportunities with this event, it was kind of fun just to see the people who wanted to join in who were already in the park, but the people you kept tallying throughout the time there. As for our Olympic Village, we were able to have 2 vendors. As we know, vendors have been a big struggle. We've experienced it with former farmers market. We've watched me talk about it since November. They were pretty great. We did have a few incidents, like the bouncy castle was brought, but just the bouncy castle. They didn't bring the fan. And apparently there was a dolly to go with it. Learned that one got picked up. So for future events, we'll make sure those things are kind of discussed and talked about ahead of time. Our media highlights, I did not put them in here, but we had a couple mostly just related to nice scenic byways nearby or historic towns. We did have one in particular about Mr. Kevin here, our chairman. That was really great to see, and all of those have been shared, not just on our Facebook, but are also connected to our link tree, which is the link in our bio on our Instagram. August, just going into event planning, we were going to do our 10 Degrees Cooler Fest, just an August grab. Unfortunately, with timing and lack of vendor participation, we just weren't able to make this one successful, so it will not be happening this Saturday. We did have some community participation. Columbine Corner always loves to hop in and support our efforts. They were gonna do a tie-dye t-shirt station outside their store for the first 200, 300 kids, which made you wanna push a little bit harder, but at the end of the day, it's what's best for the overall community. But we do appreciate Jordan and her staff for always helping out. It is also the same day as the Georgetown Idaho Springs Half Marathon. That's almost nothing to our town since it's down by the lake. The Rob Solomon concert has been canceled. However, August 15th, not only is the last Astro Tours, but that will be the community meet and greet for some of our police chiefs. So at least there's a little something going on that night. That's always our talk of what do you do in the middle of the week and what do you do after 9? So those are some of the big things that we've been thinking of our events going forward. Some things coming into our attention for our advertising opportunities. There is the tourism marketing grant that's by the CTO. It's a matching grant, except this year they've switched it up. Traditionally, it's been a 2-to-1, so they'll match, double what you offer in. This year they switched it up to a 4-to-1. I am not a grant writer, but I do feel like this is an opportunity that we should be aware of and at least keep on our radar if it's not something we can pull off by September, but that's something I do want to keep in the back of our minds as we keep going forward. Does anyone want to pipe in before I keep chugging along on that? I don't have too many details on here besides that, but it's essentially the CTO will help provide in many marketing, whether it's social, traditional, they come in and help provide photographers, or we do some of that groundwork. It really is just how we want to slice and dice this.
What are the, I'm sorry, on the internet, I'm just trying to pull up, like, what are the qualifications? Kind of that, do we get all of the qualifications for it?
Yeah, when I was at the last tourism meetup in Durango, this was specifically brought to my attention to apply for.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we might.
Pretty good shot. The way Christina was talking about it is that they've got a lot of funds right now, so it's not like you're the lucky one winner. It's they're trying to seek other ways to explore opportunities, especially ones with the smaller towns. So that's their angle this year, is to get away from big resorts or bigger towns that already have tourism. They're more changing into destination management. We're still destination marketing.
What's the deadline for that?
September something.
And then, what kind of support do you need to fill that out? Like, I've never written a grant for it either. But
I've never written a grant before. I haven't really looked too much into like the how we attack the mountain yet, just because I wanted to hear the opinion of here. I know some of our boards work on nonprofits and probably have a little bit more experience with grant writing, so I'm sure it'll probably be like a green light, but I just wanted to hear opinions.
I suggest talking to Cindy Neely.
Of course.
She does lots of grant writing, which can give you lots of pointers.
I think that's let's go for it.
I think if you have the bandwidth to do it, you should pursue it.
I think it'd be worth it, at the end of the day, it's all for Georgetown.
I agree. Kevin and I have both written grants as well, so we can help you with grant writing.
I think the trick is to identify what your. What's. First and foremost, do we have a need? I mean, I think that's obvious, but I mean, what is that need, identifying it and. Making sure it fits and then attacking it, so I come up with a list of, 4 or 5 things that. Fit the program and fit our. What we've got going on for the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, does the grant cover, is it like a year of? I have to just like,
Go back into all those details, sorry.
no.
It kind of makes your eyes glaze over with the just website, and so I like to talk to people about it, but I wanted to hear everyone's opinion before I just call my resources up and be like, hey, how can I be the best applicant? I mean, how can you help me? The other thing on here, and we've been talking about it forever, and unfortunately, I forgot to switch out of tabloid, which means everyone gets a big piece of paper, but this is the best offer that I've had for the display signs. It's the one that's actually under 2,000. When we're talking about this, we were looking into about 8 different weighted signs, 2 for the lake, 2 for parks, and then 4 for the downtown area. One more. Yeah. Okay, mini set. However, this is a big expense. This is not just my budget, and I'm not 100% on protocols. And I want to hear feedback before just pulling the trigger on something, since this is the most money we've spent beyond my leadership program.
Just going back to that grant real quick, it's.
Okay.
Grant. It's January 1st, 2025, and December 31st, 2025 is the execution period.
That's great, so I could really help with marketing on next year's summer stuff,
Mhm.
which would be perfect.
Mhm.
Thank you.
If we do any, April fall pushes, other mud seasons.
And then, how did you get to the number 8?
Signs, 2 for the lake, 2 for parks, 1 on each side, and then 4 for downtown. So you can make sure you get near the library by Rose 511 Rose, into the middle section of 6th Street, and then all the way down to Hotel Purdy. So you wanna make sure they know where bathrooms are, where food is, and how to get to all these cool museums down here.
So is there a vodka?
Oh, I do, but I don't.
Okay.
Sorry, I should email that out.
What are the signs made of?
Some type of non-plastic plastic, but it's a weighted material, so it's not quite like a sandbag or a cement, but something makes them heavier. It's the same one that Vale, Aspen, and Steamboat use. Windy places.
Did they get it from the same company?
Yes, I asked Jeremy when I was saw him last time, because we kept getting quotes over 2,000, the biggest part being the shipping because it's more weighted, but. Jeremy's also my contact on how to get cheaper fireworks, but it's still looking 30 to 50 grand, so. We're trying, Vale gets all the discounts and all the goodies.
Well, based on my interactions with visitors, I think this is gonna be very helpful. Even though we're a small downtown and a small town, people get turned around pretty easily. And, so anything we can do to help, and it definitely, maps to our mission statement of creating a positive experience for visitors. So. The design, is it using the, the official colors, the official fonts, all that sort of stuff?
Yes, they matched with the P&Gs and all the stuff that I have in mind. I did have to rearrange the white logo, just depending on it, but. We can work with them to design, or we can give them our design and then they'll print it. They do have a local ship pickup over in Bolden for one of the companies that we could work with the sign and all that.
Could I see the mock-up before it goes into
Yeah.
production? Or mock-ups?
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be cool, thank you, I appreciate that.
Of course. Is this? something that we're interested in, that we want more research into? Do we have to go to another board to seek approval for something this high? I just wanna make sure. Yes. And if we don't, we do start discussion, because this, for me, I put this as advertising, because we just talked last time about being in 3 different areas, and with the equipment. That was actually just for one software program, there's actually no money in that right now, so we'd have to plan for that for next year, or we can pull from our advertising budget.
Or could we do, could there be a difference, a huge difference in price if we ordered some signs this year, some signs next year, just to spread it out?
Yeah, we
So
could do
that we
something
can
like
use
that.
up our
Yeah.
money at some point this year. Take advantage of it and still,
We can definitely do that, it just depends on which one we pull from, it would still be advertising, 'cause, the equipment has.
I'm sorry, tell me what the message, because I might have been distracted by that grant conversation.
That's it.
What's the messaging on these signs?
They're gonna be different, so we're gonna have 2 by the lake, 2 in the park, and then 4 downtown.
Messaging is for each of those.
Well, they'll be, explore different areas, so the downtown is the most important because it gets you all over Sixth Street, but then you want the lake recreation to come into town. And then for the city park, Worland Park, it's a little bit of people who are visiting, but also mostly for our residents, so if there's an event going on, they can be over it more. So I mean, not all of those are high areas of need right now, so we could definitely reduce the number. Like
So what
Mary was
would-
suggesting.
What would the downtown messages say?
It just depends on the area, so like, if you're closer down to the library, it'd say, keep going down, there's more restaurants, there's more museums, there's more attractions. Versus if you're down here, it would say, go find the food, go find the retail. If you're over on Sixth Street and you don't quite know how to pop over to Rose, cause you're like, where do you eat on a Monday? It's right there, been asked that question a million times, it's just more directional, just depending on the area and what the need is.
so can we update the signs?
Always,
So the price of these is more so for the actual,
display,
yeah.
yes.
And so what would be as we cycle through or seasonal, a different take than the banners that we have hanging,
They'd be roughly $20 to $40 to switch them out, and then we'd be able to have the dimension, so if we want to have regular summer displays, that would work and have just a regular cost versus per event. And then if there's like an outside event, CCMRD does Slacker, they can make their own signs, we'll just give them the dimensions, thank you. And then they'll be able to fill them in instead of going door to door and still missing people.
so we can print out signs or have signs printed out local, we don't have to just do that, once we have the specs, it's just something to slide right in and
Yep.
or whatever, or they need to be replaced because they're damaged.
Something, yeah.
Well, I personally think 6 or 8 is,
To be plenty to start with.
well, it's the difference, the cost difference between 6 and 8 is minimal. And if you're gonna do 6, you may as well, if you're gonna plan for 8. That's what I was do that.
I was thinking 4 and 4 of that suggestion, but I mean.
Where is that?
We have the money, let's spend it.
Before it's gone.
Just, will these be cost utilized for the, as well as this?
It totally could be. I think it just depends on, I don't fully know about Dakota or law, so it has to be a higher for eye level versus lower, but this could totally be utilized
I
for.
think it's a good idea. Yeah. And the price, I think the price is pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
I love the idea that you can swap out signage, because then it becomes multi-useful for so many different things, so whether it be prepared, like even putting out near an area where a water main broke, we can put it distance in the.
Okay, but that comes out of road. and bridge,
Only
it's
road and
not
bridge is
covered
paying.
in BPC.
we're gonna charge them a $50 fee.
That's right, a high rental.
I get it for marketing and stuff, but I think it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, those are great. So,
No, I actually looked them up and
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
used them in the car wash. for a while.
I would make a motion that we accept to execute open displays to go for $1,744 for 8 portable messaging signs.
Excellent.
as long as water and transporting.
Yeah,
If you fill them up, I take it there's an easy
yes,
thing, and, you know, we'll have to worry about
Kevin,
ice
What about,
is water.
freezing,
what about
Oh, yeah.
freezing?
all of a sudden they get heavier.
So should we
No, they'll-
use sand instead of water, because once it gets cold and the water freezes, it
You
could
can
crack those
antifreeze them.
spaces?
The thing is, it's being involved than dumping the antifreeze is not going to be easy, but it's like, transporting is gonna be really tricky.
I don't see us moving that much better. Honestly, I think if we're gonna use them in the winter, we should. I think they're gonna be tough to fill with sand. But we could use water and a mixture of propylene glycol.
Yeah, I'm just afraid that will crack the bases. and then-
Well, propylene glycol, and it's food grade, it's biodegradable, it's.
You make a note to do that.
And I can help with that.
That's that.
Nice to
Because that's gonna be, I think we need to do that.
And I can help with sewers and the propylene glycol, I've got tons of it, Steve,
Fantastic, thank you very much.
Go diet next to them when they break, they're pretty colored though.
I want red.
We just-
I could use seasonal.
No.
We could have a horror movie night.
Any more discussion? It's been moved and seconded. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I just wanna make sure Paul heard the motion. I don't know if you voted. Paul, you want to
Can you repeat the motion, please? Sorry, I had somebody walk in.
repeat it?
Can you repeat the motion, please?
We're, I know that we buy 8 signs for $1,744.40.
Aye.
Okay. That's easy. Okay, all right, motion carries, thank you. What else you got for us, Jess?
So this past July, I finished the Colorado Tourism Leadership Journey. Not only did I get to present in front of my peers, I was alerted that I am a finalist for the Rising Star in Tourism Award.
Yeah.
This is a big deal, not just for me, but for Georgetown. During the award ceremony, not only with the governor there, but you have a room full of tourism people from all over the industry. There will be a video display showcasing Georgetown with a voiceover of all the lovely things people said. So this is really showcasing that we're here, we're proud, we're here to collaborate. How do you want to help us? Because we're already shining. So I think this is just a phenomenal moment and I can't wait. Other than that, this will, be the end of my journey, but I learned a lot. One of the biggest things that I always try to do is set myself up for success by checking in and making sure that things are going pretty smooth. One thing I spoke with Paul about at my last journey, left in my office, we had to draw what we looked like as a leader. One of my favorite things is to draw. So everyone else in the room was very analytical. They asked to make bullet points and list things off of what they make a leader. And I, of course, drew a meadow. Because who doesn't want to be brighter than the sun? You're making everything shine and everything grow. All of your meadow and your flowers are different projects, different skills, different mindsets that you're constantly watering, but growing at different pace. It was just one of those moments where you can really see how we're all very different, but we're all very much the same. And that's something that I want to keep with me as we keep going forward. So
It was a mountain meadow, right?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, it was in the valley, actually, not. The night of, September 26th,
So you won't know until the actual.
until the actual night. Yeah, I spoke with, Waylon, he won last year, he's the sustainability and policy leader down in Durango, and he kind of gave me a little bit more of the rundown. The little perk of this is not only with my leadership journey, I get a free ride to the GovCon this year, but with being a finalist for this award, they're gonna look at covering my hotel, so that's just another additive piece to town, is we don't have to worry about that cost.
And where was it?
And last year we were for Collins, this year we're in Crested View, I'm so excited.
So you need a town representative to be there to help.
I'm like, Paul goes,
You need to create like a cheering crowd to touch it. We should all just. Right.
you're so sweet to don't think I have one. Some of my
There
leadership
isn't this
group
year,
leaders
but I guess I
are
have
gonna
no.
take off the week before and hike between Aspen to Crested Butte. It's about a 14-mile. Yeah, 14 miles as a group, having a great time with the bugs, and then we'll do an Airbnb on all together or something, because I might have to be in one of the hotels, but overall, you know, I met a lot of really great people. I think the people who are the most different for me are one of my favorites because we have much better, deeper conversations. Not saying that people like me don't, but it's just really nice to get a full round and perspective. So anyway, moving forward, one of the tasks when I got here was to first year watch events, second year try to execute a few new ones. Here's a few list of things that have come. The ones in bold are the ones that I have done. So we thank Cabin Creek for bringing in a Hops Polly. We had the Colorado Pond Hockey Recess Factory come through. We did host our Easter egg service this year. We participated in the Epic Day of Service, which is a little different from our just regular cleanup day. S'mores and Astro Tours, which is taking off. We did a business mixer, which we should discuss when we want to do the next one. I'm assuming probably in the next quarter. Olympic Fortune Field Day, which we all have our wins and opportunities, and then of course our 10 Degrees Cooler Fest, which we have taken off the books this year. I'm sad about some of them, I love other ones, but as the people who brought these tasks to me, I would love to hear your feedback or just bring to your attention what's been going on and, you know, leave it open to the floor for a minute.
I know we tied it in with the Olympics, but I would really love to see us like work toward to establish like a field day more and really make it like a countywide event. I think that could be a really good community builder. And then yeah, I'm excited to, hopefully we can keep 10 degrees cooler for next year. I was really excited to do polar plunge.
We can still do it, Aaron doesn't have to know.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have to know?
Aaron, our EMS director.
Oh.
I just wanted to make sure for safety reasons that they were aware.
The
Yeah.
water is pretty warm right now, so.
Is it
actually-
Chris 40 degrees?
No, I mean,
It's warmer than that.
okay, yeah, it's almost comfortable to go in, you know, and don't take away from the community aspect of our events. Or that our target audience might be the community as opposed to tourists, because I think that's a good balance. I had the opportunity last night, I went out to Empire to the night out. Or night out for crime or whatever, all law enforcement was there, EMS was there, Fight for Life was there. Empire was there, and not that it takes a lot for Empire to show up, but it was a great turnout for just their community, and so I put that kind of into scale with, you know, more like every day of service, which is, we combine with, you know, what Parks does and everything like that. So, you know, though, we can't overlook those. We don't wanna just, I don't think we should just have a tourist centric, I think we, you know, we really wanna promote ourselves and fun things to do, because there's nothing to do on
I think one thing that would be nice is we have so many summer community members. That maybe in the next couple of years too, we could try to do like a, I don't know, summer community kickoff. Kind of like welcome back, because I know we have a lot of opinions about second homeowners, but they are part of the community.
We could do second homeowner Sunday on Georgetown days.
There you go.
The goal could be to get them more involved in the
Yeah.
community,
Exactly,
Feel more welcome and bridge that gap.
know that we need them.
because I run into a few second homeowners, summer homeowners at the dog park who always say like, oh, or like. They don't want to say it too loud because it sounds like they're used to getting some pretty intense feedback.
It's gotta be tough either way, not to change the subject really quickly, but you keep mentioning Empire. Empire was the one that showed up the most for Epic Day, or for Olympic Fortune Field Day, there was a lot of green out there, so. I'd love to see the participation. So we did try to get a little bit of county in there, and they loved it on Minor Street when they ran.
Looks like Paul's got his hand up.
We got two.
Go ahead, Paul.
I think that we have Georgetown Days on Memorial Day weekend for that very reason, to welcome the other people back into town. That's why we have a pancake breakfast. So I think if we can figure out how to get those people to actually attend it, that would be great.
Put it on a sign.
We already have a kickoff to summer, welcome back to Georgetown event. It happens. It's Georgetown Days. And the first day is the pancake breakfast and then music all weekend. And
And I think if we do pivot to marketing, then that would be easy enough to
Yeah.
just.
That
well,
would be.
everybody gets a town email. So if we figure out.
That makes sense. A lot of people aren't
email.
there on Memorial Day. It's still cold, so, I mean, we luck out if we have a
It's
nice
so last
Memorial
year in
Day.
June.
Exactly, so.
It was definitely Jackson weather for.
Yeah.
Well, we can take out to keep.
Couple other things like the smaller event that's existing, that the chili cook-off.
Mm.
That should be. I've won it twice.
We still have to.
I'm sorry, October
Yeah,
13th,
we're,
get
we're,
ready
we're
for
in the
another
battle,
winner.
we're in the battle.
Yeah. Keep that going.
But also there's a new event that's that same weekend that I'm working on, at least the logistics of the running.
She's still calling it that?
What was that?
She's still calling it like welcome home the boys and brews or
Yeah.
something? Yeah.
Yeah, what is the name of that?
Which event, is this the cornhole?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know there was a name to it yet.
Oh, yeah, we've been sitting down and talking about it, yeah,
Okay,
so the
yeah.
Saturday before.
She's like, well, I'm just working on how to
Really?
help her manage the actual brackets and
Yeah,
the tournament side of it. I didn't know there was a name or anything like that, so.
I didn't either, I was just goofing around and she took it very seriously,
Yeah.
called it that, I was like, stop. But yeah.
Which, I mean, I told her it could be very successful because there's a lot of people in the community that have been playing cornhole on a regular basis. And cornhole, for whatever reason, when it comes to tournaments, it seems to bring all kinds of different people out of the woodworks.
So wait, so the chili cook-off day is the same day as.
No,
No.
so we got Sunday, this would be on the Saturday before the 12th.
Yep,
And so it could be, hopefully a prospect for a new
Yeah.
annual event.
Yeah.
Because I think cornhole kind of coincide with, fall, and that's right there, fall.
Yeah, to give us an annual final thing, that'd be.
Annual, correct.
you just, you use annual the second.
Yeah, just call it that.
Yes, except we call it bags where we're from, but. Anyway,
And then, sorry, I know.
No,
we
please,
still have a little
please,
more to cover, but I just wanted to, we talked about that last Christmas market, trying to maybe start a thematic ornament. And so I just wanted to wait till after the Fourth of July to revisit that and see if that's something we want to resource.
for like our own town ornament.
Yeah, like Georgetown Christmas Market, 2024.
Oh, an ornament?
Yeah.
What did you-
Commission.
Yeah.
Do you guys not remember this? That's okay.
Yeah, I do remember this, we used to have orders, right?
That's what
Historically.
we said, yeah.
That's what I said, that would be amazing to get back, continue on that, because I know in Denver, a lot of people collect those mugs from the Chris Kingle. market.
Yeah,
Um, when we took over loft down there 100 years ago, he had left us a collection, we threw away immediately, but we didn't. Because they're so gaudy, but now we're collecting our own, and we're like, I wish we had kept them.
It's not the same, you gotta earn it.
Yeah, that's true.
For real.
Yeah.
So
But,
I'm sorry, our previous ornament was done by Ken Nelson every year, but he's a silver and gold smith. We could do, if we wanted to though, do a large scale ornament that's custom marketed. I have plenty of vendors that I can work with that I already have relationships with the visitor center if you want. They're the ones that are little gold custom ones that people do. Usually they're in runs, sometimes to 100 and something to over 1,000. It depends on what you want to do.
I think it'd be great to start sourcing it and we could like under order this, if we wanted to do it, under order this year, and if we run out, great.
Sure.
I think it'd be awesome to source and just get an idea of what the cost would be.
I mean, I happen to have a retail establishment, so I can help.
well, we talked yesterday, Paul, about officially putting a meeting down, so why don't we put a meeting down and add this to our agenda?
Yeah, sounds great.
and then for the hop snap, Holly, is there anything you wanna add to that, or is there any updates or expansion of it?
I don't have any details right now. The differences between last year and this year, but it'll be a little bit different.
Are you gonna get them a special holiday?
Am I gonna get one?
I mean, for Hopkins and Hollies.
Yeah, did you do tasting cups?
Yeah, I did not
Yeah.
show the glasses.
Yeah, we did taste it, so, yeah, we'll do a new one for this year.
I have plants growing in mine.
Oh, therefore. For drinking, that's why the craft beer business is declining. People are putting plants in there.
Yeah.
Good car beer.
And what date would that one fall on, that?
Yeah, but it's the,
The 21st.
Oh,
yeah, it's pretty close to Christmas this year. Because the
Possibly.
first full weekend of December is really the second weekend.
Yeah, Christmas market, it starts the 7th.
It seems later this year.
Today.
Okay, so the first 2 weekends of December, not the first 2 weekends following.
Full weekend.
First 2
Full.
full weekends.
Sunday,
That's what,
14th.
okay, I was getting confused, I was like, that long early.
Trust me. these
Just generally
things
the
are
plans.
in my brain. Yeah.
Well, because we'll do tree lighting ceremony, then we'll kick off our Christmas tree program. And then it's right into Christmas market, hops and holly, and then COVID sleeping, I mean, Christmas. It's a bacteria fest. Anyway, any more comments? I'll connect with Paul on start sourcing and getting some details on those ornaments. We've got the chili cook-off and the new veteran cornhole tournament. We'll look at more ways to explore welcoming second homers. Anything else? One comment I do want to make about our s'mores and Astro tours is Luke, the guy who runs it, is truly amazing. I've been to 2 of them now. We had to cancel the 3rd one. And it was really tough because he was getting so many calls and emails. He said out of Vail, Breckenridge, Winter Park, and Steamboat, Georgetown has been the highest turnout. Now, typically, when he does these other ones, they do have a cost. It's normally 25 for children, 50 for adults. So us offering this free has been able to not just get our community in, which we're trying to make sure we have more things to do, but it also gets those hotels and lodging. I think it's important, we wanna recognize our retail, but we do have other streams of revenue, so it's important to highlight everybody. And it warms my heart to hear that Georgetown has really showed up for him and his business, because if you have been, he's so passionate, but if you haven't, August 15th. For the ones with little ones, you can come to s'mores an hour early and take on if you want, but from 9 to 11, they'll be doing Astro tours up here at Rutherford Trail. It's pretty incredible, and with the meteor shower going on, you'll see anywhere to 30 to 50 an hour. So,
Okay.
it'll be nice, and if you wanna go out when it's peak, he'll tell you all about that. And then you can go out later and tell all your friends about what you learned.
So sorry, s'mores are at 8.
Yes. S'mores are at 8. Right, the Clear Creek County Tourism Board has been sending out their survey. This is that technology that I've been talking about for a month, so we finally figured out how to utilize it, so. They are gonna be hosting, they are gonna be hosting a business mixer per se for everyone in the county. In order to get a little bit more participation with the survey, so we can figure out, bless you, how to guide our meeting a little bit better. We're giving that incentive of, hey, you fill out this survey, we will give you data tracking. To give you more information on where they went before, where they went after, did they stay overnight, what's their median age, what's their income, what's their education level. It can be a little invasive information, but it's a lot of really great information, so you can figure out how to staff a little bit better. Maybe figure out what items were sold the most, a lot of really cool things. So if you or you hear anyone who hasn't gotten that email, I do have QR codes that I'm like walking around the businesses, make sure that they get this information, because August 29th is when we're having the event. But I think the survey and the information is what's gonna matter the most. Same thing with our business mixer is, do you know what BPC is? Do you know how we can support you? Do you know who I am? Do you know how I can support you? If you don't know the who, how do you know what to ask? So I think this is a really good start to get a little more integrated back into not just our community, but other ones around us.
Is that gonna be in Georgetown, the 29th?
It's gonna be somewhere in Idaho Springs. I wanna say it's either gonna be the Nice Hotel or another one. We're just looking at occupancy and rates.
Sorry.
The Nice Hotel, the
No.
Cool Hotel.
Oh, that's the new one.
The new one, yeah, where we had the economic meeting.
What's the one that they
Some
just
cabin.
flipped over, right across from the Elks Club?
Cabin Club or something.
The Nice Hotel.
What day was that?
August 29th.
It's called, it's called.
That was just Club Hotel, Club Hotel.
Hotel, yeah. Where they had the economic development.
Yes.
right?
My feedback was that screen was too small.
Well, yeah, so keep that in mind for this one.
Right,
So I'm sorry, you know what, I would like to go that.
you want me to just send you the survey?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you know what, you have, you have a what?
I have a link?
Yeah, I.
Oh, okay, cool.
Nancy to do that too.
Yeah. That'd be cool too. Paul, did you fill out the survey?
I am in the process.
Okay, all right.
Also, I don't know why they don't have it at the Georgetown Old School. We have a 100-seat room and a full-sized screen that's a movie theater size screen that you can actually see.
If you want to suggest that.
I suggested many things.
And then it won't
They
be
stuck to
Idaho
Idaho
Springs Central.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Already been there.
But I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of the people on our board do serve Idaho Springs. They do have a bigger population and a bigger business population, so.
Being very politically correct.
Yeah.
I know.
BPC event updates. So essentially with my short time here, I'm trying to find a stronger way to inform the board of what's going on. Instead of just saying, oh, I'm planning this and it's going well. I think with the Olympics event and going into 10 degrees cooler, there's a better way that I can get support from you guys. So I'm trying to come up with a better checklist, better expectations and more communications of, hey, I spent this much money on this and I spent this much money here, or hey, I've got questions on if we wanna pull the trigger on this, or I'm struggling with vendors here. What are more creative ways? I think there's a better way to set myself up for success, and I just wanted to hear if you guys have any kind of feedback for me, because for me, I don't wanna be the only champion of our events. I want everyone in this room to be going, the Olympics are going on, are you showing up? Are you showing up? Who's on your team for the wheelbarrow race? Or the even funnier, do you know what wheelbarrow races are? Because some people thought we were gonna be moving rocks from one side to the other in wheelbarrows. And I was like, that would have been so much cooler because we're a mining community, but no, I was going with the human wheelbarrow. I did really like that. I wrote it down. Apparently St. Mary's Glacier used to do an org all back in the day. So just more ways to be more creative and fun, but
Well, and right, like I would like to pull the Clear Creek Littles community in more to like. you know,
your
kind of-
striker race, no?
Yeah, Strider,
Thank you.
Strider bike race, yeah.
Yes.
So like, next year, if we get to do field day again,
Mhm.
I'll help coordinate
Okay.
activities for the littles.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, for that.
Cool. Slight change in here. I am no longer the advocate for Sixth Street being a one-way. It was really great, but we all know I'm marketing and events. So we did pass this over to our other town staff, so you guys can have almost fun as I had in that event because, ooh, she's gross. And then the biggest thing that I do wanna harp in here is our vendors is, just making sure that I have been asking and trying to find vendors and making sure that, you guys tell your friends or they tell their friends and little things like that. Cause even though we're about to come out of our summer season, there's still Bighorn Sheep Fest that we can have vendors at and so many other things. I'm gonna bring my own vendors to Christmas market. I'm just kidding.
So it sounds like
Fine
then,
room.
Right.
based on this, that the kind of the idea of having locals. So they'll still need a business license. Okay, so there was no workaround for that.
Essentially, it would be easier for me to help a business figure out their license and sales tax than me going to them, checking their numbers, tracking it down, waiting a month, going to the department, seeing what they have, then contacting the clerk.
So I almost wonder maybe, what we can try to do for next year though, is kind of support, have a local. Like a community of like, this is how you get it, this is how easy it is.
Like a vendor workshop or something.
Yeah, a vendor workshop for locals, around the county,
Yes,
cause then at least we can start, prepping people for that for next summer.
or I mean, we don't even have to technically wait, cause I would love to see them around in the fall.
I
I
actually
think-
thought about trying to just do it now too, because so many Muslims.
What if you made a co-op?
Oh, was that an option? Okay, you know what, you and I can talk about.
You
this.
can watch the whole sales department or the Department of Revenue's sales tax thing webinar. It was long, but it was really informative, which is why Mary and I was speaking to a co-op.
It's super easy to just add a location to your existing sales tax license number. So if Caterpillar is gonna do it, we have a -1 for our 22nd Street location and -2 for our vendor location downtown.
But then are you restricted then to just like beer and merchandise at your second location?
No, it's,
Your business license isn't restricted from the other.
That'd be a separate license.
That's a totally different.
Yeah, and then it would fall like,
sales tax license
Yeah.
and it's business license. We can make a
Oh.
business licensing as complicated as we want to, obviously, but sales tax licensing is easy for a second location.
I'd be interested, I guess, in learning more about this co-op and how we can get people
No,
in and out.
I think there's still challenges to that. We have to dig into it.
To the co-op aspect?
Yeah. I think for something you're looking, I mean, this is a personal thing you're looking at, trying to sell books.
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm one example of a local that has like something that can fill the space. Like, there's a woman that on Facebook every couple of months posts, like, I have all these plants, because she takes her clippings and grows them, like, you know, freebie, there's another woman in her empire that makes her own jewelry.
No, mine are
Like, we
free.
have locals that are serious craftspeople in different ways. That just don't have business licenses that can fill those vendor spots. So no, it's not for me personally, I'm just saying like as an example.
Yeah. I think that.
I am 100% behind that. I think that a co-op might be a great idea. And I think Jessica, you should lead that and you should get all the information together. I am not kidding. And then you present it to us and you grab the co-op because it sounds like you want to create a co-op. And then we can support you in that we can help you rent the spaces and do the stuff. And so I think, I'm not finished. Instead of having Jess do that, I think, no, instead of having Jess needs our help to help her rather than us assigning things to her. And so I think a co-op is a wonderful idea. There is a webinar about taxes that you can watch. I think there are a bunch of groups out there that you can look at to see how to perform that co-op so that you can have a shared business license and tax ID. I think it's a wonderful idea and I think it's a great project for you to do and I'm willing to help you with it.
Yes, I second that.
Okay, thank you everybody for the suggestions. It will not happen if I'm in charge of it. I can tell you that right now.
And it won't,
If someone
then,
else
but
said
we're a volunteer organization. If you don't do it, it won't. But you know, if you want it to happen, make it happen. And I'm, like I said, I'm offering my help. And I will offer the school for a seminar when you want to do that seminar. We're looking at doing monthly seminars anyway. I'll offer the schoolhouse and we can do it over here. So
Thank you, Paul. I do appreciate that. I need you to know that I do not have any room for that.
no one does.
I know, but discussing it and throwing around ideas, I think is okay.
throwing
And
around
now we
ideas is
know
just
that
that.
nobody has time for it and we will work,
Right.
we will play the long game and get vendors in the summer.
I have
Okay.
a suggestion. I have a suggestion. Several years ago, maybe as many as 8 years ago, there was a similar, I'm thinking it's similar. It was called Horseshoe Market. And it may be what you're describing as a co-op. I never thought of it in that way, but it's got one brand. And they brought in craftspeople, antiques dealers, and they filled up our parking lot with tents and booths. It was done through History Colorado. They took the Horseshoe Market to each location where History Colorado has property. We're not History Colorado's property, but we had the best location in Georgetown. They didn't want to do it at the Loop because they felt it was too, secluded. So they did it here. So maybe we just reach out to Horseshoe Market if it's still in existence and just cut to the chase. Instead of building something from the ground up. Okay, so just a suggestion. It worked great. People loved it.
Jess, on the note of this and the market and stuff like that and what you were talking about, I'm not sure if it's legal for us to do this, but we possibly should create a Google, a Google workspace that we can use so that we can get you to use us to help you more. Because I know that you're juggling all these balls in the air by yourself. And I know where if I had a place where I could plug myself in, it's easier for me to plug myself into a slot and to make sure that I am up to date with everything that you're doing, that rather than going on the website and trying to catch that. Because I think as a board, we need to step ourselves up a little better to help you make all these things that you're doing go, because it's up to us to help you find volunteers, to help you get these things to, certain things together, to help me market Mountain Jams. I just listening to you about this market, I'm realizing that I have Dakota Blonde coming on the 7th of September, and that is a huge group. And then we have Ballet Folklorico coming on the 14th of September. That's a big deal. That draws 300 people. And if we had some kind of centralized place for volunteerism, what you need from us, and so that you're coordinating and working with your volunteer group here instead of us directing you, I would love to be a part of that. And I think that it would help all of us together in the end. It's kind of like that idea that we were tossing around at the trust about creating a centralized volunteer base. And I think if we start with ourselves and look inward, start with the man in the mirror, so to speak, then we can actually push that outward. Does that make sense?
We have to be careful with that because our meetings are public meetings and if
Yeah.
we are having all these sidebar conversations, it opens us up to a whole Pandora's box.
And that's my worry is the sidebar part, but maybe we start with a centralized volunteer sheet and these are the events, this is what we need. And then we push that outward to the community. Does that make sense? Anyway, we can talk offline about it. I just think that it would be great if we could support that and support our events. Because we can all like talk, but if we're not doing the work, then what's the point? As you know, Mary.
Cool, I can definitely start spearheading that and then we'll just err with caution to make sure we don't cross any lines.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm done.
You're done, okay, thank you very much. That's fine. Wayfinding signage update, I'll take that on. This is starting to, I'm starting to see connections between all the things we do. And we did that business mixer and thank you, Old School and Georgetown Trust for hosting that. And one thing that came out of that was Mark Graybill from Railroad Adventures showed up and had some really insightful things to share. And what he said was, we were talking about the 6th Street one-way, and he said that he has had input from bus drivers and group tour companies that they would prefer to have 6th Street a one-way. And so to me, that just sort of sealed the deal in my mind that we need to take these studies that have been invested in that are shelved and put them into action. The other thing that he suggested or actually offered was exposure for 6th Street in the town on his property, on History Colorado's property. And so I was thinking about the photograph, the big photograph that Gary took of downtown, recycling that and putting it in a new frame for people who are exiting the train and coming down 6th Street to sort of show them and just say something like, you know, continue your Georgetown experience by visiting, you know, our shops on 6th Street, something like that. And so it's sort of, you know, there's no magic bullet, it's everything working together all at the same time. And so I think that the 6th Street one-way and that sign need to happen simultaneously. That would be my suggestion. And if we all agree, I would like for you to give me permission to talk to our sign maker and start to come up with designs and costs.
That sounds like a very good idea. Yeah, it's a great idea. We need to move forward.
Or order 2 more signs here.
Well, we get dinged a lot on communication. And so to me, if we do things like this and that, we can push back a little bit and say, hey, wait a minute, this is the amount of money that we've done. These are the messages that we're putting out there. So we get dinged on communication a lot. I don't think it's necessarily fair or accurate, but we still need to put effort into it. So.
Do you foresee the sign where?
I think exiting the parking lot, sort of, I don't know what he owns and what the town owns, but luckily it's gonna be one or the other up there.
On Loop Drive.
Yeah, on Loop Drive, yeah. And so it would be people exiting the parking lot, coming under the trestle, somewhere in that area. So
Make sure it's on town property that way.
I think it'd be better to put it on town.
Yeah.
He's offering History Colorado's property.
Yeah.
He really does sincerely want to help us. But I think the suggestion is great, and the background information about the tour companies was, I think, just a cinch that we've got to move forward.
Does he have anything up there? I mean, I drive between.
The town does, the
Yeah,
town has.
can't just put together some kind of, you know, the size, the flyers, the size, whatever that you already, you know, that you have access to in a more immediate fashion and have some items up there. Well, this is in the works.
They used to distribute brochures up there. I haven't printed brochures in a couple of years, so I don't know if they're still distributing brochures, but they were very good about
You know,
that.
I mean, do they have, you know, framed areas or something besides putting them on the back of the bathroom stalls, which is also a great place to put them, but, you know. Well, truly, you know, or on the doors. I mean, that, everybody's in and out of those all the time and up in Plumes too. If we have, if they're so open to us, we can't disregard the depot that's up there.
Good one.
Real quick, I mean, something I kind of thought about in the past with this. And in the picture, and here's a beautiful picture. Tends to look busy and also out of place when you have it displayed outdoors. Maybe I could try to take this on. I did this for Old Town Arvada, this maybe come out with a logo that represents, you know, kind of like sort of big has, it shows like the 1800s, you know, downtown could be, our downtown could be. Idaho Springs, I don't know, is there a specific downtown that they modeled that one after? Not, no, okay, but like here with Old Town Arvada, one of the key elements that we have that differentiates our old town is the flour mill that still exists and the water tower. Giving people a reference of the eye. Here, obviously, we have a row of storefronts, but we also have that clock tower or the bell tower or the
Alpine hose.
the Alpine hose, you know, which is a very unique, you know, structure in itself that I think could be displayed very well, you know, can have as a sign to like, hey, downtown district, you know, and here I designed this one, I'll try to go back to show you that we had it to where it could be repurposed, you know, where logo overlays for, you know, shopping, you know, et cetera, and then swapped out to like events or, you know, restrooms, you know, Old Town District restrooms are located here. You know, this was kind of, we had a study when I was part of the bid of our data, and one of the places we modeled was downtown Louisville. They did this, you know, really well, so something to consider. So I'll work on some mock-ups.
I don't think people recognize what we recognize as landmarks, and they don't know what they are, and that's not enough for them to seek that out. Now, maybe there's an audience that does that. I think the picture that I'm assuming you're describing that you have taken in the past, where people are like, oh, isn't that a cute little street? Oh my God, it's 2 blocks away, let's do it. That's the draw, as opposed to the outline of the Alpine hose that we have on the billboard or the water tower. And if you're driving through, you're like, what? You know?
Well, but also we showed in the foreground, you know, storefronts, you know, just a generic looking of 1800s, you know, storefronts where the actual physical picture, I mean, the picture, yes.
Does it have to be generic? Can it not be our storefront?
Well, it is our storefront, but more like identifiable, other than just like a busy picture.
We modeled after.
I mean, because we do have cars driving down the street that advertise Breckenridge, you know, and. So,
There's plenty of reason for that. I can picture what Mike's talking about, and it would include. You know, it would include kind of a.
overlay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You would see the Alpine hose almost in the background of a view of Sixth Street, you know, and.
Some of the signs do have the Alpine hose on it. I think our biggest welcome sign right at the VC, I think it has that tower at the top. And so one thing that I'm going to insist on is that we continue to expand this wayfinding with the branding, that we don't deviate from that branding, that we use the tools in the toolbox so that we have consistency. So that looks like the color palette, that looks like the tower design, which we have. It looks like, you know, how it's constructed, the shape, the silhouette, all that sort of stuff. So let's just, they have designers that can take all of those things. In fact, they're the ones who have created all of that for us. And so I just want to make sure that we stick to that instead of having another generation of signage created again.
Totally.
If anything, we need to edit out all the other generations of signage that have popped up over the years. So,
You know, we pay thousands of dollars to Slate for this logo and branding, and we got away from the identification of the Alpine hubs. If we're gonna change that, great, but let's make sure we're consistent.
Yeah.
I agree with
Yeah.
what you're
Yeah.
saying, you know, what are we gonna use, and let's stick with it. You know, not to say that this is, we're stuck with this for the next 100 years, but, and I'm not opposed to that, I mean, it's clean, but.
Well, this also represents all of Georgetown.
What-
Georgetown has a lot of
Yeah.
districts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. But I think we, I mean, if we're going to do something like this, in the context of this conversation, maybe it's a little bit broader conversation than identifying all of our markets. Like with this branding concept, we're identifying really a singular one, which is
Trained
the heritage tourism kind of market, right?
Yeah.
Which
Even tighter to that, train people. Yeah.
I can tell you now, we have lake people, and we
Yes.
have hiking people, and we have scenic byway people, and we have, ATV people. I mean, we have a much broader audience than our traditional heritage tourism market, and I see it every day, and it's never been more prevalent than the last 4 years. I mean, 75% of our customers in the summertime are not heritage tourism focused, they are outdoor experience focused. And probably more than that in the winter time. So they're here, that's the market that we obviously attract, kind of, organically. We should be, if we're gonna, review some of this, visual, marketing appeal, it should consider who we're trying to market into.
Well, it's good to have broad audiences, and we need to develop all audiences, which brings me back to Jewish folks. And getting that signage up in the park, being term about the Strauss family, so that our Jewish visitors have something to point to and feel included. Okay, that's all I have for wayfinding. You would just want to sit on this for now and just think about it. We can talk about it next meeting, and I can take direction then. What do you want to do? I'm talking about the train center.
I guess I just like a little bit more thought as to how we're going, not just going right to the design of it, you know. We're bringing our thoughts to some cohesive point.
I like Mary's idea that you brought up just a minute ago. In the meantime, to put something up there, it's the biggest draw in town. And I know Tom Hale was famous for saying, we don't need more tourists, we need to capture what we have. And it's the biggest group of people that are on their way back downtown. And so to put a reminder, even if it's the sandwich signs going down, I mean, I'm from the south, and it's normal to see Mater's 2 miles. They always misspell it, but it works. It gets you by to think, I'm gonna get a deal.
Well, there are some signs up there, and I was on this commission when they were installed by the town administrator, and I haven't recognized any improvement. And I think it says, food, shopping, something, there are like 3 of them. They're white and blue, and they're on a pole, and they're sort of on the curve as you're coming down, but they don't seem to be working. He followed through, he was directed to do that, which he did, and I've seen no improvement. So I think the lesson there is, we tried, it didn't work, let's switch direction.
Yeah, and what I was gonna say also is, I agree with you, where we have prominent areas where we have our nice signage. And to me, you have the gateway coming in, we have it at the lake, and then we should have one there on the way back down, so it's the wow factor, but it's also consistent, it's putting where we need to be. And so, And that's gonna take some time and lots of money to do that, but in the meantime, it's like, we don't need to wait. We need to have something that's nicer than a blue sign, something that is a visual reminder. So anyways, I see both of them as a strong need.
The people are standing up there on the patio on the depot or whatever you call it, the platform, waiting for stuff. That's when we capture that it's not when they're driving and they're getting their car back set up, or they're checking out the Devil's Gate Bridge, and they're, oohing and eyeing at the scenic, cause, and the blue and white sign is like flat,
Yes.
that's why, even as nice as those signs are, I think color enhances some things. Or if it's black and white, but it's a true picture of something, that's what draws people in. But as they're driving, they're not looking at that, they aren't, maybe at the stop sign they will, but, especially when they can't turn left anymore.
How difficult is it going to be to get Sixth Street one way? How much
I don't think it's that difficult. I think it comes down to, it's doing the right way with the public. It's like we're talking about it here. We take it to the next level. We do meetings. We gotta win the public's trust before it gets embraced. And if you don't do that, it's gonna bother.
Yeah,
So I think that
so what's our next step? What is our next?
I think do a community meeting in several places and discuss it with people.
What's your definition of bomb, like, how would it bomb? We just throw
Um,
signs up.
Change.
Well, it'll get people riled
Yeah,
up, but I mean,
there's a curve of the change system. You have to communicate, change is coming. It's coming, and you gotta do it consistently, and then you wanna make sure people feel heard. But, people's ideas are listened to, but it's gotta be, hey, I'm gonna have 6 meetings and everyone's saying, we're considering strongly about this change. And the more you do that, the more people begin to go, you know what, I'm against it. I'm open to it. Oh, this is a great idea. I embrace it. It's just like this law of change. And, I've looked at it and I'm going, this is the same exact thing. It's the same thing doing paid parking. Paid parking, if I say we're gonna implement it, it's gonna get rejected because people are gonna like it. But the more you talk about it, eventually people come around and they're like, oh, I embrace it. And now they're part of that system. So.
I don't think anyone embraces.
I love your optimism.
Not this town.
Saturday and the boat traffic or the water
I
traffic.
think you just got one, take it off.
No, that was just an example. If you look at Idaho Springs, they went through the whole thing as well. And it was completely, people against it, but now they embrace it.
Cause they have to do it.
Some people do.
They don't
They do not
embrace it,
embrace
they especially, they accept it, they
Yeah.
and they.
They do not embrace it.
So,
But even though this is a town street, county has gotta have some input on this, CDOT, I would imagine, would have some. I'm just,
Wow.
I'm not saying they do, I would wanna make sure that we've covered the bases that you don't think EMS wants to know that all of a sudden they're going one way in one direction?
Well,
I think there's more technical stuff
But that's-
behind than us just saying, putting up the signs and saying one way. I think there's a process. My God, we're the government, there's a process, and it ain't just us putting up a
which I
one way
know,
sign.
for sure, there, but.
Most effective, you can, right?
Never get done.
But
That's
We are.
the county is in favor,
Yeah,
so.
that's true, one way, I had to keep.
Kelly will be the biggest supporter, so he can get Aaron more on our side
Yeah.
and navigate that. Sheriff, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, but I would still try to change.
so it
stuff to
seems
do
to me that a change like this would have to be from the most, influential and powerful person in town government, and that to me is Rick Rublian. Can you take this, can you? take
Yes,
this on?
I
Can you
will,
please drive this forward?
I will drive the bus on this.
Thank you.
Hey, this is gonna take time. There's no way that we're gonna say tomorrow. oh,
Two
no.
years
Oh,
later.
Coming around, stop.
No, that's.
Yeah, I'll put that stop sign, would be like.
I'm really gonna rip it.
You're setting expectation.
Yes.
Wanna think about it?
No, let me think through this and I'll keep expectation.
Mr. Bowe, please.
To that point, I think it's going to take at least 2 years. Seed planting takes a very long time. I have ideas coming back that are 14 years old that people are finally doing. So, That's what it is. As far as paid parking, I don't ever want to discuss that yet. We are not Idaho Springs. We're trying to get people here. We are, Craig is correct that that we do have these visitors who are here for the outdoor things. It's one reason we had to shut down all of the dispersed camping up on the mountain because you know, when I was on HDPLC for all those years, it was people that were just coming and taking advantage of it. What we need to do, and I think I've said this before, the conversation at the tourism conferences, and I'm not sure if I can go this year, is about harnessing the tourist that you want and that appreciates you rather than getting volume. Back to Ron Neely's point, we do have these people here. How do we get them into what we're doing? Back to wayfinding, which is the subject of what we're talking about. Getting people down from the train. I wonder if it might be easier for us to figure out a regular program of printing out, just get them here, posters and small signs like Rick's talking about, like, you know, Sea Rock Mountain or whatever that is from Chattanooga. But if we can figure out a way to get them to things that are open and happening so that we're not disappointing people, which is the worst thing we want to do, down on 6th Street and down on the lake and down on the different businesses, we can do that. I do have, and I did it last year, and I would love help with it, but I can only do unless we expend another $500, which maybe that's something we can do. I do have that interactive map. That interactive map has the ability for us to do coupon codes for all the separate businesses. It has the ability for us to do specific advertising things if we increase our level with it. It also has the ability for us to do a passport for passports so that we can do a passport program. If we did some kind of poster and QR code in the restrooms, or if we can get some kind of sign, a beautiful sign that we can work with Mark on that is at the station that does tell people about what's happening. And if we can change and do maybe even do a code on that thing to guide people to what's happening today, what businesses are open today, what's something special that you want to do in town today, whether it's Craig's doing some kind of a kayaking event, or I have a 10% coupon at the visitor center, or come use the school for this thing that we're doing, that might benefit us better than worrying about eat, shop, hike. And we can talk to Mark about harnessing those people for what's specific. You know, mountain jams this weekend is this. This is happening now. Does that make sense to you? Does it make sense? What I'm saying is changing the signs out frequently, QR codes. I don't know if they've gone out of fashion yet, but at least we can change the landing page all the time. And so maybe harness those people that way until we spend $40,000 on a sign that we haven't agreed on for 10 years.
All right, I'm afraid we're gonna run out of time today, so let's just go ahead and move on to open containers on 6th Street. This sounds like Keisha's arena, all right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so you should have a packet in front of you, if you want to take a look at that. The report doesn't really say anything, but it just gives you a list of the attachments. Jen and I have been working on the encroachment application. So if you want to take a look at that, we've designed it so that it can be used for not just the liquor licensee participants, but also the merchants that want to participate. So I try to make that clear for people who are participating. If you're a liquor licensee, complete section B. If you're creating a space that encroaches on public right of way, then complete section C. I walked around and chatted with not everybody, but most of the merchants and liquor licensees downtown on Friday last week, just to give them a copy of this so they can review it and let me know if they have any questions. Theirs has a big draft stamp on it, so they're not thinking it's the official one. We wanted to get your feedback on it before we really hand it out. But is there anything on this form that you think we should add, anything that you find confusing? And I'll go over the attachments if you want a second to look over that. So we have the communal outdoor dining area modification of premises application. This is the state application. They have to do this one if they're the liquor licensee. This modifies their premises to include the entire common outdoor dining area so that people can have open container. What that area looks like is still to be determined. It'll depend on who applies, so. Minor Street, Marketplace, communal outdoor dining area, security and control plan. A security and control plan is required by the modification of premises. We do have to ask them to do that. The actual state regulations, which are attachment, exhibit E. If you look at B2, one or more licensees will supervise or provide security within the communal outdoor dining area during all hours of operation to ensure compliance with this regulation 471103 and all relevant requirements of Article 3 or Title 44 and Colorado liquor rules. So, I mean, supervise or provide security, pretty open-ended as far as what that actually means. And we've seen with Idaho Springs that they started out pretty strong with the security, having like someone at the entrance points all the time. Discovered that that wasn't really necessary and have reduced that quite a bit. So where we start, what we expect, totally up to us. I expect, especially given our limited resources on our police front, that we would want our liquor licensees to provide some extra security, at least until we get an idea of how it goes, but that's not up to me necessarily, so. So that's something we do have to ask them to include, and that could be something that we ask them to provide. A recommendation by Chief Gaskins is that we actually add a fee to this application. It's a security fee, and then we provide the security. That was something that he recommended as something we could do to make that a little bit easier. Something to discuss. The exhibit D is Georgetown seasonal encroachment agreement. This is our existing seasonal encroachment agreement. We can modify it if we want to. It's a contract that lays out our existing rules and regulations for a seasonal encroachment. What page is that?
11.
Thank you. And then we went over state regulations a little bit. That's the full state regulations for the common outdoor dining area. E2 is the one big one that I wanted you to pay attention to, but if you're interested, that's a document that I hadn't seen before, but Jen and I found it recently and I thought it was important for you all to take a look at. And then ordinance number 5 is the actual ordinance that we passed. If you just so you have a copy of that. I generated a proposed CODA map to start out with, including the total CODA area that they would change their premises to and Mountain Jam's mode. So the way that Idaho Springs does it, as we've discussed, is they have a big actual area, but they only activate certain areas for certain times. We have a lot of control and flexibility over that kind of thing. At this point, I'm only anticipating that Mountain Mamas, Guanella Pass, and Silver Brick will be participating as liquor licensees. And that's why this area is relatively limited for the activation. However, I know that there are also merchants that are interested in participating, letting people come into the stores. So that's why I wanted to expand it to 6th Street as a whole. Hopefully at some point we'll have some more participants on the north side of 6th Street and the 23 block. Silver Queen Tap / Georgetown Coffee and Tea has expressed some interest. Someday, maybe the Red Ram will open. That would be cool. And I haven't had a chance to talk to Les and Veronica about it, but the hours of their business may be outside of the realm of what we're thinking of to start out with. And that's again, up to us and also the applicants to propose to us what they're thinking. I know we've been talking about Mountain Jams as being a central thing. Something that Sadie really emphasized was that it's difficult to get people to leave establishments. I think there has to be an event going on for them to actually want to do that. And that's why I think Mountain Jams would be a great thing to start out with. We can always amend the calendar and adjust the activation space. So that's, what I'm thinking as far as to start out with. We have this pink zone active Saturdays, maybe 12 to 5, see how that goes. We can amend, we can add, we can do things as we go. If we get more comfortable with it and if people get used to it and if, you know, more participants want to join the program. These are the same sign mock-ups that I had submitted previously. Mary had mentioned to me magnetic signs. I think that's a really cool idea. Jess had just brought up these weighted signs. We could use those as well, although I do think we probably want to save those for flexible marketing things. So this sign would be just dedicated to potentially this. Pretty simple. As far as how many we need, that's gonna depend on what the Coda area is. So it's hard to say how many signs we'll need at this point, because the proposed Coda area could be a lot smaller, it could be a lot bigger. So I didn't want to propose a specific number. But I did find some magnetic signs that are $50 each, those drop, you know, for quantity, so.
What did they, how did they get mounted? I know that the magnetic, but what did they mount to?
It'd be like a street sign.
Existing sign.
Yeah, and then you just slap it on top, so, yeah.
Do these have the option for the braille on here? Cause if we did, I wouldn't mind using, at least for the end zones on 6 or something, for like the weighted signs, we have so many. It's zero, no, that was my joke. But you wouldn't be able to add braille there or want them bending over, but if they're gonna be a high up for magnetic. Does this account for the braille or is that just gonna be something we'll take off?
I'm not sure, but I would imagine that even if these don't have braille, that we could probably order some kind of braille sticker, something we could put on the bottom, and it wouldn't affect the magnets, right? So I think we could do that, for sure.
Make sure to factor in that cost just in case.
And then these are extremely rough. Please don't think this is the final design, but I wanted to discuss with you what kinds of regulations. I'm sorry, I guess I'm talking about the labels at the very back here. These are mail labels. I did that on purpose. People can download, like we can design it and send it to people. They can print it on literally Avery mail labels if they want to. I just thought that was an affordable way for people to have these stickers if we want to require that.
These are to go on the cups.
Yes.
We would most likely buy those, wouldn't we, or would we put that on the business?
I don't think we should buy them, but that's not necessarily up to me. I think if we provide a design and these are not expensive, then people can put them on their own cups.
Or we might want to have them available and that's a fee that, you know, oh, we need 1,000 labels for whichever establishment is selling them. Here you go.
Yeah.
And that takes away, you know, a step for them to, but they're paying for the product by us, the town.
I agree. Perhaps we should rent a run and then offer to give a few to start with and then sell them, like you said, Mary, after. Do you know what I mean? And we can run that through, if it's easier, we can run it through a sticker company, or we could have somebody who has connections do it for us.
Especially if we're gonna modify, we're probably gonna modify them over time, so.
I thought the cops had to identify the business from which they came.
Yes, so I didn't include that obviously, because that would be up to them to design, yeah. We also could just not make them put the sticker on there. Ion Springs does not have them put the sticker on the cup, they just have to have a cup that identifies the location, so, or a can.
Maybe should be, but maybe it's either you have your printed cup, I look at you because you're the only liquor license holder here. You know, that it either says, you know, the establishment, or it's got the sticker on it, so that it's easily identifiable.
We want the individual establishment just to be able to identify potential violations in service, which is why.
And is that outlined in all of this?
I think that's a regulation.
Well, maybe we start with, you know, I think that if I were doing this, I would spend the money and have my plastic cups made and then have this on the plastic cup anyway, printed with after my logo. I would spend the money to do that, so I'm not worrying about a sticker. But in the beginning, maybe we require them to have, because it's easier rollout to do a sticker than it is to do a cup run. Although there are some companies now that are faster, so maybe we require, it might be easier if we just have these stickers ready to just for the initial run, and then they make their own sticker for their business. So their cup is shown, it's a little janky. And then once they realize there might be something good to it, if we require this on there, because I think it's a good thing. If we require this on there, then they can print it, the legal bit on the back, and then they have, Guanella Pass Brewery or Mountain Jams is the king of all concert series on their cup. And then the other, but I think that in the beginning, if we make it as easy as possible and we spend a couple $100 if we can afford it, and then if they need to do more and they want to be janky, we just charge them. And we also add an administrative fee onto it, so we're not charging them wholesale. If you don't want to do the footwork, then it's on you. Does it make sense? I'm sorry, am I just talking into the wind?
No, it might be a good, the labels to start with even, and maybe we phase that out over time, but maybe we get that so that everyone is getting it ingrained in their brain, not necessarily the customers, but the establishments, and it identifies it even better for any one of us as we're walking around, and we can kind of do some self-monitoring, even though we're not the enforcement people. It may just be a good way to start off, and then we can, if it's not necessary, we take it out.
This, am I correct, this only applies though during an expanded CODA event, correct? Like if I'm an individual business and I'm operating under the basic CODA, if I'm reading this right. So and again, Tommy Knockers, I'll use an example. They have their common outdoor dining area. There are people eat, drink in that common outdoor dining area in front of their space on Minor Street. They can't take alcohol beyond that parameter, but they also are not being served in special cups. They're being served in regular Tommy Knockers glassware, right? But that's a CODA. And then when they do an event, and somebody wants to take their drink beyond Tommy Knockers CODA, they're doing the expanded CODA. That's when the stickers and the notifications apply, correct?
Right. Yes.
I just want to.
I don't know that there's any space for any of our people to expand into the street, so I don't think that'll happen.
But we're gonna have both are gonna be covered by our regulation, yes?
Yes. And if, Mountain Mom is ever just she's the only one I see that has space potentially to expand into a right of way. So maybe she'll decide to at some point.
Well, but consider the notion that with this body may take up at some points, the conversation around a minor street like. Closure of 6th Street during certain periods of the year, for example. Well, are we covered by our regulation or are we not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure, it has to be a special event, correct?
For the expanded CODA, yeah, but the special event can just be. Nothing in particular, it can be a weekend that they choose to do it.
The alcohol premises,
So that'd be
you
4th of
don't
July,
need to have a
isn't that-
It's gotta be sponsored by a nonprofit.
well,
So let's take Christmas market as an example. So Christmas market is 4 months away. Christmas market wants to do a CODA. Historic Georgetown, they're a nonprofit, wants to do a CODA. They want to be able to sell liquor out of their beer tent. And they want people to be able to roam, just for sake of ease here, on this map. Okay, that's the expanded footprint. What does that particular organization have to do? Are they putting stickers on their cups? So that people can know?
If it's a special, they could get a special event permit, and then that's gonna trigger everything else, because now it's a special event permit, is the way I understand.
it's a special event. That's all it is. The CODA doesn't really impact, we can add, we can say as part of the special event, we want CODA rules to apply, totally fine. But a special event could be anywhere in town, we can allow, you know what I mean,
So then we don't have to put stickers on our cup.
I would think you would.
we can ask them to.
This is what the town needs to decide.
Yeah.
Because when that organization or any organization or Hops and Holly wants to expand on the 21st, okay? This is the conversations that we're having. Let's expand this beyond Mountain Jams. What are we gonna do? And let's figure it out now, 4 months away, as opposed to 10 days away, so that we can advertise what we're offering. We want Hopkins Holly to be able to sell from Strauss Park. We want an expanded. Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking city.
Yeah, City Park. And so if you're gonna use CODA, or if CODA doesn't apply, great. But if we wanna use this as an example, or this test run,
So.
you know,
so here's-
let's have these ideas in mind that are already in place.
Here's how I see the difference, and again, I'm throwing this up so we all have a clear understanding. The concept you're describing could occur in the absence of CODA.
Yes.
In other words. A nonprofit sponsors a special event, has a street closure permit, a special event permit from the town. And it includes, let's say it's the entire
Yeah,
pink area on
Yeah.
Gager's map. Don't have to have CODA for that.
Yep.
Right?
correct.
But if 511 Rose also wants to, right, participate and have maybe a space out front where they're doing an outdoor seating area during Christmas market and have their alcohol served in that area as part of that overall special event, then we do need to implement the
CODA kicks in.
the CODA event rules so that they can participate in that space and have their people have portable alcohol from their space. Same thing for Grinnell Pass Spring. Same thing for Mountain Mouse.
They can
There's
easily,
the
yeah.
3 liquor license, Happy Cooker. Also
Yeah.
liquor license holder.
But, and just to add on to that, they have to have a sticker or something to notify. On that,
Correct.
yes,
But I'm talking, that's the differentiation.
yes.
Is simply having a nonprofit sponsored event downtown does not in and of itself invoke CODA. Unless we wanna allow other liquor license holders to participate in that event. And utilize their outdoor spaces in that encroachment kind of way. Which is also.
Then they have to follow the guidelines of CODA.
Correct, so at that point, then everybody's got.
Pretty kind of right, so.
Well, at that point, then everybody's gotta participate in CODA, including the nonprofit sponsoring the liquor license for. Christmas market or for Hobson Holiday,
Mhm.
right? Because that's.
And that's,
But
but that's
then
the
everybody's
example
gotta
we should be
participate.
thinking of, because those are the events that we have in town. You know, and it could still apply if we wanna pull it out of another one. If Mountain Jams has got something big going on, maybe go out or 511, let's just say, because they're almost next door.
Mhm.
They are next door. You know, they wanna implement a CODA to expand their dining and their alcohol opportunities.
library.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So, but again, we, the town, need to be able to articulate
Yeah.
what that is, because these events are, you know, all coming up and we need to have.
Confusion at all,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, well, and I just wanna again, and I know I haven't done a great job of explaining this because there's still confusion. Hold on, can I finish?
Yeah.
Special events like the Christmas market. We have to do an entire special event permit, totally separate from CODA, where we, for that permit, establish specific rules. CODA doesn't, impose rules on participants of the special event. The CODA is a separate thing from the special event. The special event can be bigger than the CODA, it can involve different people from the CODA, they don't have to have a brick and mortar premises in town, it's nonprofits, whoever we want. The CODA is inside that special event, maybe for Christmas market, we can use CODA rules because we're used to them now, we've implemented them now, we can say we want CODA rules to apply to all participants in the special event, but that's the determination at the hearing for the special event. Does that make sense?
But that needs, but we need to know that, the town needs to know that, so that when our marketing person goes around and has these communications with these businesses. And, oh, don't forget, Christmas market is coming up, and she's talking to 511, this is an opportunity you have, you know, well, what do I have to do that? Jess needs to be able to explain that to the owners of 511, so that they can appropriately and in a timely fashion, and especially since the state liquor license expansion is gonna take more time than our internal one. They need to be thinking about that now. And I can tell you, historic Georgetown, HGI is not going to take on, just as Jessica is saying about the co-op. if 511 doesn't know this, it may not be communicated to them by HGI, because HGI is focusing on Christmas market. But as a town, we are doing this to embrace the opportunities for our merchants. We need to be able to roll this out. This is our big PR to the merchants. And we need to know, right off the top of our head, what those guidelines are. So.
This one, if I had a liquor license for the gallery.
Exactly.
I wanted to move it on the street, that would fall under code. Right?
Yes, if you did the encroachment license, yeah. Okay, so given, I agree, we should have consistency for the code that we know and are aware of. So that's, why we're talking about this is what are we expecting for the security plan? What area do we want to propose to the applicants? Because, I think that that's a collaborative effort, basically, is like, what are you thinking for the area? Because they have some ideas, but really they're taking our cue for like what the CODA area should be. And again, it's gonna depend on, like, I don't think Happy Cooker will apply, but maybe they will. So it's hard to say, but what do we think it should be? Like, do you like the map that I proposed? Do you want me to continue to talk to people about that particular map? And we can adjust as we go, but we start with this map and then move from there.
I think we should start with your map.
Okay.
I think that we
and
can
then-
expand that later, but that is the main event center for the town, and it's the one that's the easiest sell. My other question I wanted to ask earlier, I don't know what our rollout is on this. It looks like we're already like ready to pull the trigger. Do we need to create a committee and make splashier, more advertising package that we can throw out and then hold a town meeting to get buy-in? Because I think that even though we've done this, I want to make sure that the people that live, like, my neighbors and Jessica's neighbors are aware that this is happening and are behind it. Or do you think that's borrowing trouble? Because I love the idea that I can throw an event, like Mary's saying, down there, but I am not responsible for the businesses that are doing it. I'm only responsible for my liquor license portion of it. I would love the idea. It's going to be expensive, but putting a sticker on a cup and saying, hey, wander around, but making sure they're covered. But also if Guanella Pass does it and they overserve, they're in trouble, not me. So it's three things. I'm getting different points, but I do think that we should go with what you're doing. And then we should have a rollout period. And I do think that we should have some sort of town outreach that's splashy and pretty and makes them want to be part of it, including the businesses. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I would say that I'm open to whatever you guys think for that. My one thought is that we should get the liquor licensees to sign up first, so that we aren't advertising nothing, so. So they're buying first, and then we can, yes, I think pushing it out to the community makes sense to me, if that makes sense to you guys, so.
I think you're best suited to create that very simple one page. This is what it's called, this is what that means, this is how you participate. And these are the expectations, and I mean, it's for all of us small business owners, it's gonna be a 5-minute read and understand, or I'm out. Like, I'm just not even gonna bother, because I've got 400 other irons in the fire. So to get that buy-in, it's gotta look like a really, and we should be prepared to hold hands. A couple of times too, and really kind of walk folks through this process. I'd just like to make a couple of comments on your form before around the package, before I lose them. Because I'm gonna have to go, because I've got a little problem on the Rich project. On the application page. It's under section C attachments. Elevations with proposed modifications indicated. Do you mean like building elevations?
So, example, 504 6th Street, Maria's building, she wants to do some kind of bump out. Picture of the front of her building with the proposed modifications for the bump out.
Okay, which will go to my third point here in a second. On your signage, the one on entering. It says alcoholic beverages are not permitted in other establishments or outside of this designated area. It's.
Sorry, we that was a update from Save the Day.
Enough said, it's just a little confusing. Lastly, And to our previous point about that, the bullet list of here's what it is and here's how you participate. An example package completely filled out with all the attachments would go miles.
Yeah.
And simplifying things for people who participate in it, so. Thank you, I think we're really close, and this feels really good.
So I guess I want to make sure when we're communicating this to the public, one of the things that I've had a hard time understanding. And it's because of the terminology we're using. When we say common outdoor dining area, what we're trying to say is a common outdoor consumption. You know, we're talking about, like, I think that the way we talked about it needs to, like, I don't wanna go outside and tell people CODA, because you're gonna be like, what does that mean? I think it needs to be something very simple, to say, this is an area, like, if we want people to walk around with a beverage, put a sticker on it. If we don't want people to walk around, you don't need a sticker. I just think it needs to be real simple.
I think that's a really good, and we don't have to call it a code.
Right.
We can call it a common outdoor consumption area,
Yes.
You're absolutely right.
So that's just my personal.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that's my point about the splashy, more of a marketing point, and it might be Jess would help with that because she's a marketer, but it needs to have zero jargon. To Craig's point, it needs to be into the business as a single page, zero jargon, zero legalese. This is what it is what you're doing, and it's way cool. You know, you can carry booze around town. You know, whatever, but the legal, this stuff that we're reading is for our benefit because we're doing a legal thing and it's wonderful. But the thing that we're putting out to the businesses and stuff, like, I wouldn't look at this. I'm looking at it because I have to. I'd be like, what? I don't know. You know, and then move on because we have 5 minutes and those people do too. And they're, I don't know, had a late night last night with the big party that they had in the building, you know, at the brewery. So the wedding or something. So anyway, I'm sorry.
Not concerned about the dining, we don't have any problem with anybody bringing food out on the street and eating it on the table. Okay, it's the communal outdoor drinking area. I mean, it is.
We're all walking around with a little Annie sandwich anyway, so.
That's what I thought too.
So nobody, if nobody knows what CODA is here, go back to, like the Alpine, the picture of the Alpine Host, who the hell knows what that is, unless you know what it is, you know?
Water tower.
So.
What's the point of interest?
No, I understand, but if people are like, I didn't know what CODA was, kind of thing, so we have to be prepared for the ignorant. And when we're saying this.
My suggestion. I'll totally tackle on this one pager, especially since I haven't been too informed and I'm kind of nuanced at this. I think my inexperience and your expertise can really mesh well on making this one sheeter, so rub me in on that.
Yeah.
And then one
question, those are the ones that if you don't understand it, that's gonna be our merchants, our business operators, so.
Your inexperience can definitely be a
Absolutely.
tool. And then once we get the buy-in on the liquor, I can help with that marketing splash.
Okay, perfect.
Well, I would love it if I saw it and then I could show it to my 16-year-old employee and see if he understands it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if he understands it, then we're in, right? Because he has nothing to do with, because we all have this stuff in our heads. And also we can put the legalese at the bottom of our signs, but it might be really cute. And I'm not really always into cutesy, but it might be cute if we think of some old mining Western, like, this is call it something else, like, the saloon district. Don't say saloon district, I know, but because honestly, we'll have pitchforks, but you know what I mean? If we think of something way cool like that, instead of saying CODA district, you can bring this in, blah, blah, blah. I do like the beer upside down, the beer on, but if we think of some way cool saying of this is the, I don't know, the Bighorn area, I have no idea. Well, smarter people will think of it, but if we can make it cute and kitschy and then have the legalese underneath and it's very clear what it is, but it's cute and kitschy for our signs, I think that might be way more Georgetown and we can brand it.
Yeah.
Or beverage area.
By the way, the number one question at the visitor center is about the Bighorn sheep. Just so you know.
Pretty soon it'll be about drinking in the street.
But my point is, that's why I commissioned, which are very popular, that's why I commissioned those sheep crossing signs.
Your feedback on the security plan, what you guys think that should be? What are we requiring?
What is John suggesting?
Yeah.
John wants us to charge a fee and for us to provide security.
Who is us?
Yeah.
In what regard? Volunteers and actually us? we're charging a fee, we're hiring somebody.
What is that?
So do we legally, do we have to have a person manning that or personing that perimeter?
We
Is that
have to
what it's
have a person within the CODA supervising or providing security. Supervising can be anything,
Right.
really.
They're strolling around, they're not like assigned to a post where they
Mhm.
are.
So I think
Well,
the
I believe
expanded coda should be on the special, there should be one person that's involved with, like, if it's mountain jams, I'm standing there. I think the general coda should be the responsibility of the businesses and that they have someone who, when they have time, is walking outside and looking every now and then. Does that work?
Yeah, I think that works, just to be more nuanced about it. I think having a named person with contact information who is responsible for security of the common outdoor dining area. I don't think we should over expense this thing or it'll just won't get used.
I agree.
And having every point of entry and exit manned the whole time is simply not gonna, I mean, we just won't use it. And until we have a reason to up the requirements, I think the requirement should be, there's gotta be a minimum signage at each point of, entry and egress.
Yep.
And that signage needs to be monitored by either the person identified as responsible for security of the CODA or their designee at all times. Monitor, which is checking in on it, making sure the sign's still up, because frankly, once they pass that sign, they've committed the violation, not the liquor licensee. And that was one thing that I think Sadie made a good point of last time when she was here. It's the person walking past that sign that's violating the ordinance and state liquor law.
And remember, they had to tell people, and Idaho Springs, they
They
have.
actually had to encourage.
You can step over the line, yeah.
So until proven otherwise, I think we should keep it minimal but responsible.
And provided by the liquor licensee participants.
They provide the signage, well, or unless we have, I think it'd be really nice for us to have canned signage for all these events to just set up there. But they're responsible for maintaining this, seeing that the signage is put up, seeing that the perimeter is maintained. And it doesn't mean fences everywhere, right? That's not.
Yellow
what
road.
we're doing. Yeah, lots of yellow road. But that's my thought is less is more, until we prove that we need more.
Yeah, and I spoke to John Kane, he's the assistant, was the assistant, he's now the administrator at Netherlands. But he said they've never had a problem and there's not any police officers at any corners, and he's like, they've never had a problem. So.
And I'll tell you. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I'm sorry, I should take my ADHD pills. I agree, I 100% agree with Craig, and I will tell you that when my name is on those liquor licenses that I apply for, and I'm responsible for everything that I do, it makes a big difference, and I am watching. And I think it's enough. I can't have 15,000 people to get volunteered just to stand there and say you can't drink or leave here. But if we have if we do, I'll put on our outgoing signage saying you will be in violation if you leave. Some nice way of saying it's on you. Do not leave the perimeter with that booze. And then we're good.
The events that we host here are not the same type that's going to draw the crowds that are going to be forcing their way past the exit with their liquor in hand, so.
And if those people do, they already have a flask anyway. So what does it matter? And also we have public drunkenness ordinances, and the minute one person in a small town goes to jail, then we're in. No one will do it again. You don't want to, I'm sorry, I'm talking too much now.
No, you're good, we're listening.
Asia, do you have everything you need for this?
What is our timeline, by the way? Do we have a rollout? Do we have a rollout date?
No.
September 14th for your next big event at Mountain View.
That's my last one. That's your event too.
So that June.
But that's the event.
What did we decide for the cup labels? We're gonna start with them and then we're gonna print a bunch to hand out to people. And then they can decide after that to either buy them from us or design their own cup. Is that what we decided?
They have to have a delineated cup, whether they put their own sticker on it or not. And then my understanding was we're going to print out some of those labels that have the legalese on it. And they can use those in the beginning with their own cup. They can use their own Guanella Pass sticker, their own Mountain Mama sticker or whatever, until they can have them printed. Is that what we agreed on?
I think so. Do we wanna add any other regulations to this list of, I just have stay inside designated areas and outside alcohol is not permitted. Do we wanna say anything else?
I think keeping it simple is.
Explore Georgia. Okay, great.
My only other suggestion, whatever we call the public term of this needs to be on there.
Yeah.
So, whatever that we decide, we call that, that's what it is. And then the public would go, oh, okay.
Common drinking area.
I think drinking makes more sense than consumption, because consumption can be anything, I mean, we're talking about, alcohol. Yeah.
We're coming from the industry, there's more common or consumption lounges in Denver, so you can definitely go over into a greener
Yeah,
field.
whatever the simplest is
Yeah.
what we should have on that label.
Common
So-
outdoor drinking area.
But-
Or something.
Eventually, I think that if we came up with something way cool, we could get press for it. So if we came up with something branding, but right now, common drinking area. But if we came up with something, belly up to the bar, belly up hard, I don't know. But if we came up with a classic line,
Over consumption.
because if it sticks to them, this is the area. That's your area.
Yeah,
So what are we gonna do when we run out of labels?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Just think, you don't have to have an answer or a response for this, but if we have a larger event and all of a sudden you run out of stickers to put on the cups. Are sales stopping, are we?
I mean, the labels aren't legally bound, like they're not necessary.
They could have Sharpies, correct?
Well,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, Sharpie it.
Sure.
Think of that, because I can
Contention
foresee
plan.
that happening.
Yeah.
No, for sure, but it's like, it's not like preventing us, like, there's not no legal.
We get to decide if it's legal or not, so
So
that's what
let's think about how we want to, not right now.
I mean, I think we're overreacting by putting any kind of stickers on cups. Like, it's pretty, you have signs that put on their own.
Yeah,
You walk out with any alcohol beverage, and then I think when you have a hard time getting any of the two liquor license holders to purchase their own cups later.
Can I help?
Sure.
Can I speak? Am I okay to speak? Okay, I think I can help you solve your problem, if I may. So I can make you guys sample sets. We are a printing company as well. We can help you guys do a sample set of your ideas. I just need a logo, permission, copyright. Cup wise, we can also identify each brewery on the cups and have handmade labels already ready printed on the cup. My suggestion is the cup would have some ID check mark on the cup saying everybody has the cup. They have an ID check printed already on there. The logo of the company who's selling the beer. Also, the stickers is already on here. So if you guys need something you run out, we have a backup printer that can print it real quick.
Whatever happened to the aluminum cup, the ball cups? I keep hearing plastic cups in this conversation.
Expensive.
Disposable. It's, I mean, you put
Recyclable.
whatever recyclable, and each place would have a recyclable bin, the matching the cup, say, hey, drop it here. And it'll be able to recycle it. We just have to partner with the public works in town to pick them up. For recycle bin, if that's allowed, whatever rules, I mean, anything like that, as far as the ground. Like, after you guys talk about the perimeter, my suggestion would be a caution tape on the ground. I mean, the rope would be nice, but half of these people probably be lit up and tripping on it, but the ground tape.
There's not gonna be a marker, they're gonna be signs.
They'll
Just
have
put
a
it-
sign, some type of marker or
You
something
can
to do that. Okay, I'm saying,
And you're gonna walk past
I still, I know that it might be, I wanna, I think.
The rope thing was.
We're not doing a rep.
Yeah, there's no rope, there's no.
It was just a joke.
Right.
Like,
I think that we need to put the least, I think we need to put the least burden that we can for these people. I might disagree with Mike. I'd be willing to listen to it, but I do think that I like the idea that people are using branded cups, however they decide to do it. I don't think that we should be using a proprietary company and requiring proprietary specific places. I think it should be I think that we can go and get wholesale stickers to start people out if we want to do that. I do think that it should be on the businesses to find their own suppliers, to figure out their own thing. And it just has to say, if we decide that they want to have legalese on there, then we do the legalese, but it needs to say the business, because we need to be able to track where people were drinking, and that I think it's easier for liquor laws that we do that you were last served over here or not. But I might be wrong on that. I just don't think that we should go with any kind of proprietary system.
What if it's an identified cup with the establishment's name or the sticker?
And it's just ID check.
I mean, 1,000 cups is, $200 and some custom printed, and I think for starters is the business promotions. I think you should just. There's only, how many liquor license holders? 3.
That may be interest.
That might be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, at least the first run, a trial run is print 1,000 for each. And I'm 100% certain 1,000 will carry us for quite a few events. I mean,
I'm 100% in with that.
180 covers,
Mary,
so.
as far as like the rules, one of the reasons I picked the Avery labels is because if we run out, they can just print some in their own printer. If we wanted them to, but I think just the label, as long as they have the identifier of their establishment, that's the minimum, and then we can be a little flexible maybe about the rules sticker.
My thing is, I don't know if all of them have printers. That's a little bit more of a luxury, especially with some of our businesses, being restaurants and whatnot, it just depends. So that was my suggestion of like, should we do it just so they can make sure they have it? Just for my mindset.
Sure.
But yeah, I would just be cautious if they do or do not have access to it.
I am willing to allocate voting for 1,000, the money to vote to allocate that money for 1,000 cups for each business if we want to do it that way. We have to do it through a wholesaler, and I might be able to find a wholesaler pretty quickly, or Mike will know those because Mike is in the restaurant industry. And then if it's a sticker company, I work with multiple sticker companies that will wholesale to me as well. Unless Maria wants to wholesale and we can match those rates. If we can use a local, that's great. If we can match the rates, but we have to worry about costs. But I'm willing to, I think that it would be important for us, it would behoove us to start people out and make it easy for them and just outlay a little money.
Here's the thing too, the liquor license holders have to submit their application, and again, then what's the time limit with the state? How long does that take?
I'd have to look it up.
I mean,
They get,
It's longer than ours though, right? It's more than 30 days.
I don't know, I have to look it up. I
Okay.
mean, and then by the time they get it back, it varies when how busy they are.
Well, because we don't want to start putting all this stuff up if we don't have somebody who hasn't applied. So
Right.
it gives us time, once they submit their application, to turn this around.
Yeah, they definitely have to have applied, and it definitely has to be in process and almost finished. Also, please don't leave out Sweet Easy because they do special events during the day sometimes.
That's true.
So I have just a quick question on our time right now. I don't know how long this meeting they're supposed to run, and I see that number 7 is the 2025 budget discussion. That seems somewhat time sensitive. As far as, not saving it until next month's agenda, are we staying until the agenda is complete, or do we have a stop time here?
People exit when they need to exit. That's been my experience in the past. I'm needed at work right now, but I'm gonna push through this until I get a call. So, but we have to have a warrant, and so I think once we get down to 3, it's over.
I think I'm good, so
Okay,
thank you.
all right, thank you, Asia. Thanks for all that hard work. So I guess we're up to you, Red.
Okay, so. The next topic on the agenda is mobile food vendors. And this is something, since I've been here in Georgetown, I've heard this multiple times in this meeting, this group discussing this and how we should think about it. And it's ranged from, one time, that they're coming to special events to all the time, or seasonal, that we have somebody. And our businesses are, they're just, our restaurants, are they open, are they closed? We have tons of people coming in, I wish we had a food truck. I mean, all these things we've discussed and been challenged by over the last couple of years. And just recently, we had a food truck vendor show interest with the town. They came to us and we talked to it for a while and theirs was like, well, we're not interested in just coming for a one-time event. Or even, we're interested in being here in Georgetown. And so the challenge that we had was our rules don't really accommodate that very well because we don't have like a designated area. So I put some time to think through this. The town administrator, myself, has authority to designate something. And so there's several paths that I can do this. The first path would be a temporary use permit. And so code does allow the administrator to designate an area and be a food truck area. And the way code looks right now, there's a lot of limitations that I would have even when I designate an area. So for example, it says in there that the temporary use permit tells me that I can only do it for 3 months. Okay, now it does say that I can renew it, so it's not a bad thing, but it does allow me to renew it. Second is, it does not allow us to use street parking, public parking for this. So that's another challenge that I would have. Doesn't mean, it's a challenge, we can always amend code or make a new provision that would say, designated areas by the town administrator excludes whatever the other section is, it's like we can incorporate that. And then the other side is if we were to use a long-term area, then it's kind of similar to the CODA thing where we can do a seasonal encroachment license that's revocable. I can designate an area, we can change code to allow it to be on city a public parking space, and you have to get a seasonal encroachment license where then there's a fee or like a monthly fee that we would get to generate towards business promotions and maybe the police department for security. Since that would be a revenue, but it would allow someone to do like a food truck in an area that we would agree upon, that would be more long-term as opposed to just a special event mindset. And so then the caveat would be, which one supersedes? Well, I would say the special event would always supersede because that's the big event, and the food truck, if it's in that area, would have to then get permission or they'd have to remove because that takes precedent. Or we can decide things like that. So I want to get your feedback on it. The area that I've been walking around town to see where would be an appropriate area for a food truck designated area. I think it's actually right here in front of Hotel de Paris. And my rationale, and you can shoot it down, but my rationale is if we were to take the bus loading area and move it 20 feet down. And I've talked to bus drivers, by the way, about just their thoughts if we did that, would that hurt their, getting into and they're like, no, that's gonna be fine. As long as you don't have any parking around here for them to get around, they don't care where it's moved up. But by moving it up 20 feet, it opens the spot right at Taos and 6th to put 2 food trucks right there. So it would be, even we put a sandwich sign right there, near that, people walking are gonna see, this area always is kind of dead, but it gets people to walk down this area. Then we could put another one inside the Hotel de Paris parking lot. So then we have 3, and then we can put one at the first parking space on Taos Street in 6th. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 potential. It doesn't mean we'll have 4, but we have potentially an area that we designated seasonal to long-term. And it drives business this direction and it doesn't take away business down that side. So there's not much going on in this area, but we would be able to talk about that. So these are thoughts. When I look at other places, it creates more issues because we have a lot, like the other area I thought was Strauss Park. Well, we're limited parking in Strauss Park, so we don't want to take away that. Then I looked at towards the community center, and I think that also is a congested area, and it's vital spaces, and I don't wanna take away, this right here actually is no spaces in front of where the bus is, I'm just moving it. And we're only gonna be taking 2 spaces if we were, or we just started off with 2 areas, designated areas, and we're not taking away any public parking space. So it's just a thought about trying to get more of a long-term mentality of food trucks. So, I've also gone through and marked up the amendments on code, because there's a lot of challenges we'd have to do, and even on the temporary use permit, I've marked all that up. And it's not wasted time, even if you shoot this idea down, at least we put some thought into this. But I'd like to hear your thoughts, and then my next step is take it to the board of selectmen, hear their thoughts. And then task Jerry to then implement all of our thoughts into something that would be doable. Cause like right now, I can designate an area right now. But the reason why I'm having challenges is because all of this, the most likely suggestions are conflicting with code. You know, like you can't take up a parking space. And I'm trying to see the, you know, like the big picture of this, how this can work, and there's gonna be some challenges to work out. But I want to get your thoughts on that.
I think it's great.
Yeah, I think
we should go for it.
Yeah, it's awesome, I think, the idea of where
Well,
this location.
Brings more traffic down here.
I think if you wanna extend Coda to that house and Fifth Corner, you're gonna have food trucks there. But
And Rick, I have a couple.
Wait a minute, Paul's got a comment real quick that he typed in.
Go ahead, Paul.
Oh, I typed, can you hear me? I changed to my
Yes.
earphones. Okay. I just typed that I'm really in. I do think that the outreach needs to go to because the people that shot this down in the past were the restaurants. And we need to make sure that if we're doing the outreach to the restaurants, that we make them understand that, and I think that we have more professional restaurant people that will understand that by expanding a restaurant district, you only create more business for yourself. People go to restaurant districts, having been, a restaurateur for 20 years in the past. This is something that I learned to understand when I was part of that new urbanism build group. We created specifically a restaurant district for the draw, and the more restaurants that came in, the better. If we could create a district too, if we could set it up so that they're semi-permanent or so that they could start switching out, it's a great advertising point because it'll bring people to understand that we're doing really cool new foodie things that, like the newest truck will start coming up here and sitting for a while. I'm 100% in. I think it's a marketing outreach. And if we can make that marketing outreach happen, we are going to be golden. And especially during the events when, you've got Steve and people who are like waiting in really long lines or at 45-minute food waits, and his staff is freaking out. I think he'll buy into it. Great job, Rick.
You're talking the service side would be on the sidewalk side though, right?
Correct.
So we're not talking about.
Yes.
Street.
A map would be clear on what that means, but absolutely, it would be service side on sidewalks, not
That's
actually.
right.
Yeah,
I'd rather put at least the 3 to, I would designate them where you're utilizing the street parking spaces first.
Yes.
And if you bring in 4th, if it gets to that point, or a 5th even, maybe that's when it gets, but if you've got that hub of a corner and it's busy. You could even take up a couple more street parking
yeah.
spaces as opposed to.
Yeah, Rick and I have talked about this, and I'm in support of this as well. I think every meeting for the last 14 years, I've said the same thing, how dead my block is and how we need help. This is what help looks like. So thank you very much.
Well, if we needed to, we could always take up Gary's parking place, which is that loading zone. Too much too soon, sorry.
So, I think the next step, is wise, what Paul said, I will reach out to our businesses and let them know what the big picture idea is and get feedback and, I have marked up everything. And I've had others also put their eyes on it, and if you guys wanna put your eyes on it, you're welcome to, because this is a collaborative effort, it's our idea, it means it's not mine, this is your idea that I'm trying to work this out, so I welcome any advice and thoughts and suggestions as we're moving forward, but I'd like to move forward and not put this on a shelf.
Please.
So, because I think that this ties into a lot of other things that we're looking at, signage, one ways, closure, like, we'd love to see Sixth Street between Towson and Rose closed one day. Yeah, I think that would be a people, how about lights going across the street? Yeah, like, I'm all about. I'm all about that.
Let's do it, don't talk.
You know what? In all honesty, I think that light thing, which was shot down many years ago, talking about the seed planting, I think that we're in another era for that. And I don't think that it necessarily would be shot down now. And then the one way on 6 before we close it is a great idea too, because that goes into CODA. All of these things go in with each other. But the marketing is to make sure that people understand that there is no panacea, that these things are designed to work together. And if you do your own homework and put your own sweat into it, you can make this happen. And Rick, when you're talking to those owners, I think that the ones that are on 6th Street right now aren't going to care that much, except for maybe one, I'm not sure, but you really need to sell it as what's in it for you. How is this building you? And the sooner, the better.
Yeah, and I love it, and I appreciate your thoughts, everyone. Thank you, Paul. I really appreciate that. But this is the whole destination mindset. And we're trying to capitalize on all these things, and the vision is exciting, when you can think about how this opportunity is. And so I will continue to work on this and bring you an update next time where we're at.
I don't want you to hear the sirens at 10.
Oh, yeah, the monthly siren didn't go on.
It could be quieter and you were just spirited.
Maybe we don't have issues anymore.
Maybe there's natural flood.
Okay.
Or everything is flooded and it's.
It's coming down.
Yeah, but you're out.
That's all I have.
Okay, and so is that your report?
Well, I mean, that's a big part of
Okay,
this.
fine.
I know that I just wanted to recognize Jess, how hard she's been working on these projects, and just so proud of what she's becoming. And even the big picture of being recognized, the potentially of winning this, I'm very proud of you. Keisha's been working really hard on a lot of these projects, and they're really hard. This CODA, these other things, it's really hard. So I'm delighted with my staff. We work hard, we work great, and we are in that's just one thing. Another side thing is just our short building season is also causing lots of issues with the town, and especially on the lakeside. Thank goodness that Craig has been very kind, because he could be really upset because it is this, our street down for Argentine, we're putting in a sidewalk and lighting and a bike path, and we're moving the road a little bit over to realign it, and then putting a smaller roundabout at 22nd Street in Argentine. And that's a lot of work that's going on, and it is not easy. So we've had lots of challenges with Excel. And so honestly, right now, we're stalled. Excel they were supposed to put the termination poles in, termination where they will stop, go underground, and then it'll come back up. So you have 2 termination poles. They're supposed to be moved in Excel. It was supposed to be done this week, and now they're putting it off to like 5 to 10 weeks. And that is really hard for us, because we can't afford this project if we have to pay people to sit and do nothing. And so anyways, it's a challenge. We have Excel as a challenge with our decommissioning project. We're not in a contentious relationship with them on that, because we are moving forward. However, we do have a meeting coming up on the 14th to discuss the next step, which is going to be them wanting to get a permit in order to do a bypass. And the bypass would be great, because we don't want the water, as they draw it down low, what's happening is the water that's moving is cutting through the existing sediments, and we're getting that sediment into our waterway system and our filter system, and it's creating havoc. And so we're gonna do a bypass so that then they can plan to do the appropriate testing to see what's in that, and then to remove that sediment. So as they're doing their decommissioning. So this is gonna be a massive project, and it's gonna hinder and challenge our traffic patterns up Guanella Pass for, this is probably gonna be 3 years from now is where that project is. But we're doing all the planning right now to do that. So, but that's the big scope of what's going on with the town and we also inviting everyone, since Kim walked in, it made me, it triggered my mind. August 15th, we have a community meet and greet. We have 4 finalists for the chief police position, formerly called marshal. And it's gonna be at the community center from 6 to 7:30. So it's an opportunity to come meet, greet, ask questions, get feedback to give to the board of selectmen at that time. That is August 15th at the community center from 6 to 7:30.
And I just wanted to tell you that I was at a baby shower the other day with a bunch of Big Littles moms, and 2 people were talking about how excited they were about the second one.
Nice.
So they wanted to have that. Yeah.
That's great.
I thought
Yeah, and you're starting to see
it's-
a little bit come in by Cooper's on the Creek.
Yes.
You can see where it's coming down and that's about as far we've gotten and now we're having challenges. So we've done as much as we could while Excel was waiting, but you can see a little taste of it coming in. So any questions for me?
Yes,
Go ahead, Paul.
I thought the meet and greet was at the old school.
I had reserved it in case that the board had a different opinion. So,
Oh, okay.
you and I have not spoken, Paul, and I apologize for that. I've got a lot of details to talk to you about.
I don't care as long as I just know, I don't care. I'm here for you. I just, one more statement before I stop talking. I just want to say that this is the most exciting meeting that I've been to in a very, very long time. And I want to, and I put that because of the group that we have here and also that the staff is actually pushing things forward. You have an amazing staff, Rick, and they are doing really hard work to make some actual movement in this town. And you can feel that momentum. We have a lot going on. Great job, Jess. Great job, Kaysa. Great job, Rick. Great job, Jen. And great job, Mary. Thank you so much for all that you do. I'm really proud to be able to be a volunteer that can support you. It's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. And Paul, we will have the interviews at the old school on the 16th, and that'll be basically 8 o'clock until 2 o'clock. So that, I think that time is still good. And I'll send you an email to confirm that too. So thank you all.
Okay, let's go to minutes approval for July 3, 2024.
Yeah.
Oh.
We still have so many more things.
Okay, if you insist, how about 2025 budget? Discussion.
I
Okay.
just suggested that this be on here so that we are paying attention to what's
Sure.
coming up.
Sure.
And I would anticipate that Jess is gonna be able to give a lot more input into the budget and what her needs are for 2025 as opposed to us saying, oh, here you have only X thousands of dollars to do this. I mean, now she's got this whole year plus under her belt. She knows what she's planning, she knows what's been successful, she knows what they cost. And if there are other ideas, I'm sure, the sign is gonna come up, a wayfinding sign from your list, Kevin, that we need to plan for. These cups for Coda, the drinking area, not the dining area, the drinking area, we're not providing plates. That might be something, but whatever these are for those thoughts to go in, because when you sit down with Mary Sims to put those budget numbers together. I would assume you'd want some collaborative
Yeah.
input.
No,
but
this,
that's-
I think this year is gonna look very different than past budgets. It's not just gonna be like, yeah, I worked for us before. There's a lot of new material in
So.
it. Yeah.
Well, and then does the whole budget come out of lodging tax, or is there part lodging tax, part different?
And business licenses payment.
There's still a amount from the business licensing.
So those are the 2 funding sources for Jess's position and then
And for everything we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even, there could be more, if we do the food truck, we could have another stream of
That would be.
revenue. Because what I'm looking at is not just, here's your permit. I'm looking for the seasonal encroachment to go, no, this is gonna be $500 a month space for you to do, because that's, if you're gonna be here longer term. Then we're gonna create, because that's what other places are doing, and that gives us an opportunity to put more money in business promotions. That's why I was like, and the police department, since we don't have revenues for the police department, And we only have one officer right now. We would love to be able to build that up for needs for both of you guys.
Yeah.
Well, I know we can't count our chickens before they hatch, but also if we get that marketing budget, that marketing grant too.
Yeah.
I was secretly thinking that, I was like, don't jinx it, don't jinx it.
Sorry.
That twin building, so that's.
Well, how much are we putting in? I think you have an appointment.
That's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else regarding budget? So we're all aware, we all have the same mindset.
I should have asked Mary when she's planning on rolling out that information to all of her.
We should wait for the audit and then,
Right, and I know there's a hang up on that, but I think by September, we're like under your crunch time and. So, or we need to allocate some time next month to,
I was gonna say,
because it's gonna be do or die.
When does the budget get finalized by the board?
Well, it gets presented to the board starting in October, so, but everything has to be submitted prior to that, and it's usually a September date. A mid-September date, so since we only meet once a month.
didn't we do like a special session last year? Okay. Well, listen, tells me.
Let's see it right here.
And I would just like to add that while you're kind of discussing that, with the language we have in voting on the lodging tax, was that some of it would also go to childcare and workforce housing. And so I'm gonna be the squeaky wheel on that one for sure. So I just wanna make sure that, although those funds haven't been requested to be allotted yet, to still honor, that's a year's worth of budget for 2025, and I would like, the VPC to be mindful of that shared.
Is that the 13,000
But that's not the amount, that's not BPC's money.
Allotment.
That's in another pool.
It's already.
That
kind of like-
we don't allocate at this point, so
Okay, thank you.
I don't want you to send him into heart palpitations, that all of a sudden there's another.
I just dissociate. Okay, are we done with that discussion? Okay, very good. Minutes approval, July 3, 2024.
It looks good to me.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve, minutes of July 3rd, 2024.
Any discussions? All in favor? Aye. We have a motion to adjourn. Any second? Okay, all in favor? Thank you, folks. No, no time. We got it. Done. Oh, yes. You have the jump on. Yeah. This one's a big deal. I don't know. If
You're having a pen?
I've been having a jinx. I know, I didn't
Thank
figure
you,
it out.
lovely.
sorry.
Call me and let me know.
Oh, yeah.